with me. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name's Nicole and I'm a person in long-term recovery. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. And tonight, y'all, we're going to talk about recovery. So earlier today, I shared some crazy addiction story times with you guys. And if you haven't got to see those, they are uploaded down below on my TikTok and on my YouTube channel. So if you want to hear some crazy, funny, crack story times, soma story times, methadone, everything, story times, check out my TikTok or check out my YouTube. I uploaded them both there, and Instagram. Okay, so hey Britt, good job. Congratulations on 1,000, man. Once you hit that first 1,000, it gets a lot easier to gain momentum. So, for those of you guys that don't know, I'm not really a big part of like Alcoholics Anonymous anymore. The first 3 years I was sober, that's all I did was Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, like, okay, girl, send me a message though. That way I can get you scheduled for a night to come tell your story. Okay. And yeah, if any of you guys want to tell your story, you just got to get to 1,000 followers so that way you can go live with me, okay? And that way, when you hit 1,000, we can go live, and that will help you guys get your account built even bigger, because you'll be on the live with me too. So when I first got sober in 2015, I was like obsessed with Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, I went to meetings like 3 or 4 times a week. I had an Alcoholics Anonymous sponsor that I worked through the steps with. Like, I was always in the rooms, you know. And the longer I stayed sober, and the more I started learning about harm reduction, and the more I started coming out about being on Suboxone, the more I got farther away from that fellowship. Not because it's a bad fellowship, not because I don't support it, just because it wasn't quite lining up with my beliefs about recovery. So since about 2 years ago, maybe about 1.5 years now, I have really just gotten to be where I guess you could call it like new age sobriety. Is like, I don't really put a lot of stock in sobriety dates anymore. I know a lot of people who've been sober for like 30 years and they're pieces of shit. And I know some people have been sober for like 6 months and they are amazing people. So I don't think the amount of time that you have sober really matters. It's the quality of sobriety time, not the quantity. And so I started going to Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous meetings that are like more open-minded and non-judgmental. And then I started trying to learn about harm reduction. So I'm a big supporter of harm reduction, and I believe in it 100%. But one thing that I really love, though, is this big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I love this book. I think it's amazing. As you guys can see, I have it all tabbed out. I have it like fucking, I have it all like colored in and highlighted, like all highlighted up. And so when I first started, about probably 2 or 3 months ago, I was doing these big book studies on Sunday nights. And so I thought we could do one tonight. And what I do is I just read a chapter of the big book and we talk about it. So what we're going to do tonight, though, is we're going to read the doctor's opinion, okay? So the doctor's opinion really kind of shows where the disease concept came from and where they started to believe that addiction wasn't just a choice, right? That it was something that was going wrong up in our minds, right? You can get this big book on alcoholicsanonymous.com. You can get it at a bookstore. It's just called the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book. So we're going to read the doctor's opinion tonight, and we're going to talk about it. And if you guys have any questions or you want to talk about it, you know, you can come up here. I will allow guests to come up and talk tonight if y'all want to. So we're going to do it. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So here we go. The doctor's opinion. Now, I want you guys, when I say the word alcoholic, I'm going to try and say alcoholic and addict. But it doesn't matter. They're interchangeable. They're the same damn thing. Okay? Alcoholism and addiction are the same thing. There's no difference. So this book should be called The Big Book of Addiction instead of The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a national prominent hospital specializing in addiction and alcoholism, and gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. Okay, so this letter that I'm about to read to you guys was written from a doctor who was working with people who struggled with addiction and alcoholism. Okay. I have specialized in treatment of alcoholism and addiction for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. So basically, this doctor was treating this guy. He was super smart. He had a good job. He was like a great businessman, but he was a drunk. And the doctor was like, this dude's hopeless. He ain't never going to get sober. I don't know how the fuck he's going to get sober. You know, imagine going to the doctor and the doctor being like, dude, I can't help you. You're hopeless. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people back then, especially, believed, that they were hopeless. They would never get sober until Alcoholics Anonymous came around. In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. So during his third time in the hospital, getting treatment for his crazy ass being drunk, he started thinking, you know what? I think I figured out a way for people to get sober and stay sober. And this is because his best friend, whose name was Ebby, had came up to him and said, hey, Bill, I got sober, dude. I found religion. Okay, and Bill was like, religion? I don't do religion, but let me listen to you a little bit more. So that's how Bill, because this is who we're talking about in this letter, the doctor is talking about Bill, okay? As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. So he was telling other alcoholics that they needed to share their stories with each other to help each other get sober. That's what he was doing. So Ebby came to his house one day. He was in his house. He had gin. He had gin, and Ebby came in and he poured Ebby a glass of gin, and he poured himself a glass of gin, and he was like, here, Ebby, have a drink. And Ebby was like, I'm not drinking. I'm sober, and I've found a way to stay sober. And he explained to Bill that he had found religion and that he was fellowshipping with other men and women. Okay, this has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. Okay, so this man and back then they only said hundreds of others, because that's how long ago this was. Okay, like 1934. Like, what the fuck? Can you imagine, like, being back then and being a drunk or an alcoholic, or a drunk or an addict, and being like, just not having a way to get better, and just people just thinking that you need to go to the crazy house? Because back in those days, they would send you to the cuckoo loony bin if you couldn't get yourself together. You know what I mean? Addiction and alcoholism was just like, they didn't know what to do with you. You were just like a bane on society. You know what I mean? Like, get that person and put them over there in the loony bin. We don't need to be dealing with that right now. You know? So, I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group. They may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. So Dr. Silkworth is the doctor that wrote this. He's saying, like, these men who have come together and are forming this group, which was Alcoholics Anonymous. I think back in the day they called it the Washingtonian. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it wasn't called Alcoholics Anonymous at first. They called it some other name. And he's saying to us, he's writing in this letter saying, like, what they're doing is helping. They're getting sober. You can rely on what they say, like they're helping each other and they're actually getting away from the disease of alcoholism, you know? Like, can you imagine like not having a cure or a way to get sober, and then being one of the people who like helped create a way to help people get sober? Like, that must be amazing, you know? And I think Bill W. had a big ass head, and he knew it was amazing, because I've read some other stories about his ass taking sedatives and wanting to drink so bad on his deathbed, like begging his friends to give him some gin or some whiskey. And I've also heard stories of him like wanting tripping or something like that. I have to look it up, but it's on Google. You can look it up too. And he was like a womanizer and was cheating on his wife all the time. So, you know. Anyway, so that's just a little tidbit. The physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe, that the body of the alcoholic is quite abnormal as his mind. Okay? So his body and his mind were affected, all right? So a lot of time, this is where people, you know, they used to believe that addiction was just a choice, you know, and that we were picking up alcohol and doing it on purpose. I believe that I was born with this disease. When I came out of my mama, I can remember being a young girl and being addicted, a moral problem, yes. I can remember coming out of my mama and being a little girl and having problems with food, sugar, shopping, sex, like things that were before I ever picked up a drink or a drug. You know what I'm saying? And so I believe for me that I had the disease of addiction in me already. And when I took drugs and alcohol into my body, it triggered that, and then it just took over, you know? So that's why that video that I pinned at the top of my account, you guys, the addiction and pregnancy one, where I talk about addiction not being a moral failing, people still believe that to this day, especially about women who struggle with addiction while they're pregnant. So many people tell me, like, you're a piece of shit, you don't deserve to be alive, you should have never been able to be a mother, blah, 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 blah. You know, because people believe that, like, I chose that, and then I was actively choosing to harm my unborn baby, which I would never want to harm my child, ever. Y'all know how much I love my son. I would die for my son. But I was so sick in the throes of my addiction that I tried so hard, but I failed miserably. I failed a lot. I failed all the time. And I tried to get sober through my whole pregnancy, you know. I wish I could have just turned it off. If I could have turned it off, I would have. That's how you know that addiction is not a choice. Because if it was a choice, I would have chose to not be addicted. I promise you. Addiction caused me so much pain in my life that I could have avoided if I could have just chose to be different. And I tried to choose that. This is why when I hear people say, when I hear other addicts saying that addiction is a choice, it makes me so mad. Because those addicts, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not addicts. Okay? Those are not real addicts. There's a difference between a person who has the disease of addiction and a person who abused drugs and alcohol. Okay? Not everyone is going to fit into the criteria of having addiction, right? These people who are telling you addiction is a choice, these people probably aren't addicts. They've never been to the point where they had no power over what was going on. They've never been to the point where alcohol and drugs chose every part of their life of what they were doing next. That's how you know that somebody's not a real junkie. I'm going to say real junkie, a real drunk, a real addict, is that they will say things like addiction is a choice. Okay? And those are the people who make it hard for us who are really addicts and alcoholics, who really do have this disease. You know, they make it hard for us because they're the ones that people hear the most. Addiction is a choice. I chose to get better. You know, like, it's such bullshit. There's this one guy on here, he is so loud and he screams it from the rooftops. all while preaching from the Bible too, which is another thing that drives me insane. Listen, you guys, I believe in God, but I'm not going to be up here preaching like I'm on the pulpit that just drives me insane. And it just like, it's go to, of course, he would be a person who would say that addiction is a choice, you know? Yes, it is. The real alcoholic, the binge drinker, and the moderate drinker. So, okay, sorry, I just got on a tangent there, y'all. Okay, so we talk about how our body is just as our body, the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. Okay, so it totally affects our brain, right? It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight of reality, or were outright mental defects. These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent with some of us, but we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. So mind and body are affected, okay? The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. So this is one of the ways that I first kind of like grasped what addiction it was and how it came in me, right? Was when a counselor explained to me that it's like having an allergy to peanuts, okay? Or bumblebee, right? I don't know I have that allergy unless I go to the doctor and like have an allergy test ran, but other ways I wouldn't know that I had the allergy unless I take that certain thing into my body, right? I wouldn't know that I'm allergic to peanuts unless I eat peanuts and then have a fucking allergic reaction. It's the same way with the disease of addiction. A lot of us don't know we even have it until we take that drug or that drink into our body, and it triggers that allergy, which is our body and our mind not responding to the substance the same way other people's, a person who doesn't have the disease, okay? That was the first time where I could actually kind of like understand. I was like, oh, that makes complete sense. You know what I mean? That makes complete sense. Because I didn't understand what was going wrong with me. As laymen, our opinion as it soundness may, of course, mean little. But as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. Though we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as altruistic plane. Altruistic means lack of selfishness, okay, you guys? We favor hospitalizations for the alcoholic who's very jittery or befogged. More often than not, it is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached, as he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. So it's important that we get rid of the drugs and alcohol out of our brains, right? So y'all know how it is. Like for me, I get phone calls from people that are in their active addiction, like they're high on meth or fentanyl or, drunk or whatever. And I always, when I'm talking to somebody on the phone, if they're under the influence, I'm always like, I'm here for you. I want to support you, but I can't talk to them about getting sober while they're fucked up. Of course, I encourage them that we want to make changes, and I want them to call me the next day so that way we can talk about the changes that we're going to make and how we're going to, get sober, what we're going to do, whether we're going to go to treatment or outpatient or MAT or therapy or whatever, right? And so I cannot tell you guys how many times I have had phone calls at like 2 or 3 in the morning on the 1-800 number that's in my bio, and it's just a person who is just like fucked out of their minds. And I'm like, hello? And they're like, is this Nicole? And I'm like, yeah. Is it really Nicole from Real Talk Recovery? I'm like, yeah, it's me. It's fucking midnight. What are you doing? But I always try to like tell people, it's okay. I know that it's late. You're probably high. Call me tomorrow. Okay. I'm not mad at you. Call me tomorrow. So the doctor writes, the subject presented in this book seems to me to be of paramount importance. So this doctor is saying, like, what's written in this book of Alcoholics Anonymous is very, very important, okay? It's very, very important to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. I say this after many years' experience as a medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcohol and drug addiction. There was therefore a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra-modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. Many years ago, one of the leading contributors to this book came under our care in this hospital, and while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here, and with some misgiving, we consented. So he was like, yo, I need to tell my story. Bill's probably like, yo, Doc, I need to come to the sanitarium, which that's what they called them back then. I need to come to the sanitarium and tell my story so these other drunks can hear it too, because I'm sober now and they need to see this miracle. Just like we do now. We go and tell our stories at like jails and hospitals and institutions. We tell our stories at high schools. We tell our stories here on TikTok. Like, this is a way that we help others. Hey, Jordan, what's up, babe? Thanks. Thanks, Dainty. I appreciate you. This is a way that we help others is by sharing our testimonies on, online or wherever. And now that social media is such a huge part of everyone's life, you guys, I remember when I first got sober and there was still like some pushback from people about sharing their stories and being so non-anonymous here on social media. Still, there are some people who have to keep their privacy because they have jobs where maybe it's not accepted that they're in recovery. But for the most part, like, I don't know anybody who isn't out there with their recovery that's not like sharing their testimony or just, being here in the chat with us. It's really so amazing how recovery has become it's a popular thing. Like, it's cool to be sober now. It's fucked up. Being fucked up is not cool anymore. When I was in high school, it was cool to be high. It was like fun. People romanticized it. It was back when Kurt Cobain was alive and all those kind of things were happening. They would romanticize the heroin chic look and all this. And now it's like, no, that's not cool. Recovery is where it's at. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so the cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this field. They believe in themselves and still more in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is the manifestation of an allergy. Okay, here we go. That the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in average temperate drinkers. Okay, the allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. You know what that means? Alcohol in any form at all? That means pills, that means coke, that means meth, that means ecstasy, that means all that. And once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them and they become astonishingly difficult to solve. Okay, so you heard the craving, you heard manifestation, you heard the allergy, phenomenon of craving. And so y'all know how I always tell you guys that the disease process, this is one of the things that I first learned when I first got into treatment. Okay, I'm talking one of the first treatment centers I ever went to. They told me that the disease went like this: trigger, thought, I'm gonna write it out for y'all, obsession, use, craving, and then the vicious cycle starts over again. Okay. So one of the things that I first learned when I was in treatment was about the disease process, okay? Let me see if I can flip this. Does that make it better? So y'all can actually, oh, sorry, that's not what I want to do. That window's dirty. Sorry about that. Mirror. How do I do that? Okay, there we go. So one of the things that I learned when I first got sober was this thing right here, and it tells you how the disease works in the brain, okay? Or how, you know, we use, okay? So we have the disease of addiction, and we are triggered. A trigger is just like, it can be a smell, it can be a taste, it can be a thought, it can be an emotion, it can be an object, it can be a person, place, or thing, it can be a song. We're triggered, right? We're triggered. And then that trigger moves into what? A thought, right? We start thinking about, okay, yeah, I remember that time I was over on 12th Street and I bought that crack-a-lacka from Black, and that crack-a-lacka was good. I could probably go down to 12th Street and get me some more of that. So after that thought comes, we move into obsession, okay, which is over here, okay? And obsession is where we cannot stop thinking about that crack-a-lacka and driving down to 12th Street, okay? Once we're in obsession mode, we are fucking doomed for real, y'all. If you can't turn it around here, it's over, because guess where you're going next? You're going to pick up and you're going to use. Okay, once you use, that drug goes into your body, into your brain. That's when that phenomenon of craving happens. This doesn't happen to regular people. Regular people that don't have the disease, they can smoke the crack-a-lacka and they don't start having this unwavering craving to take more and more and more. That's what sets a person who has the disease away from a person who doesn't have the disease. Okay? This phenomenon of craving happens in the brain. All right? All right. Now, let's keep going. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideas must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives. If any feel that as psychiatrists directing a hospital for alcoholics we appear somewhat sentimental, let them stand with us a while on the firing line. See the tragedies, the despairing wives, the little children. Let the solving of these problems become a part of their daily work, and even of their sleeping moments. And the most cynical will not wonder that we have accepted and encouraged this movement. So what the doctors are saying is, we are watching people die every single day. We are seeing families torn apart by this disease. We are seeing helpless children who lose their mothers and fathers. And now there's something that's giving us hope that these people can get sober and stay sober, right? It's amazing. We feel after many years of experience that we have found nothing which has contributed more to rehabilitation of these men than the altruistic movement now growing up around them. Like I said, the lack of selfishness. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. So we drink and use drugs because we like the effects produced by the drink or the drug. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, so while we admit that it will fuck up our lives, fuck everything up, lose our jobs, lose our kids, lose ourselves, we cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontented unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks which they see others taking with impunity. Okay? So, let's read that again, because this is important. The sensation of drugs and alcohol on a person who has the disease. The sensation is so elusive, so euphoric, so relieving, okay, that even though we know that doing this is going to cause us problems, even though I know if I shoot some meth that I could possibly lose the home I'm living in, get my son taken away, and lose my husband, that the elusive euphoria of the substance and the feeling that it gives you is so strong, okay, that a lot of us, you know, that we can't differentiate. We can't stop, right? To us, living in our addiction, when we're living like that, is normal. We have become accustomed to the crazy, chaotic drama of the addiction life, right? And we are restless, irritable, and discontent until we can get relief from our substance of choice, okay? And we see other people, kids that we grew up in high school with, friends of ours, that maybe get high and fucked up just for fun every now and then they never do it again. They do it and they have no problems. And it's like, why can they do it and I can't? After they have succumbed to the desire again, as so many do, and the phenomenon of craving develops, they pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink or use again. This is repeated over and over, and unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there is very little hope of his recovery. So basically, unless a person can have an entire change of perception, a psychic change, there is little hope for them to get sober, okay? And that's the straight up truth. And unless you can totally do a whole overhaul of your mind and the way you think and see things, you can't get sober. That's what a psychic change is, changing the way we think, okay? Everything. On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol, the only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules. Men have cried out to me in sincere and despairing appeal, "Doctor, I cannot go on like this. I have everything to live for. I must stop, but I cannot. You have to help me." Faced with this problem, if a doctor is honest with himself, he must sometimes feel his own inadequacy. Although he gives all that is in him, it often is not enough. One feels that something more than human power is needed to produce the essential psychic change. Though the aggregate of recoveries resulting from psychiatric effort is considerable, we physicians must admit we have made little impression upon the problem as a whole. Many times do not respond to the ordinary psychological approach. Many types do not. I'm too old to relapse. I heard that. I feel like that too, man. I do not hold with those who believe that alcoholism is entirely a problem of mental control. I have had many men who had, for example, worked a period of months on some problem or business deal, which was to be settled on a certain date favorable to them. They took a drink a day or so prior to the date, and then the phenomenon of craving at once became paramount to all other interests, so that important date or appointment was not met. These men were not drinking to escape. They were drinking to overcome a craving beyond their mental control. Okay, so that's what a person who struggles with the disease of addiction has, is a craving beyond their mental control. So if you're a mom or a dad of somebody who struggles with addiction or a loved one, that is what's going on. That person's brain does not respond the same way your brain does to substances. I know a lot of people who say, I mean, why do they do this? Why do they keep drinking? Why do they drink when they know that, you know, they're going to wreck their car, or they're going to lose their kids, or they'll be late to their job, or they'll lose their job? Because this craving in our brain, it's a brain thing, y'all. It's like nothing you've ever experienced. And until you get that substance in you while that craving is going off, you are miserable, you know? Miserable. I want people to understand the disease of addiction more, and understand like what we are going through, and understand that, you know, it's not something that we just woke up and said, you know what, today I'm going to become a raging alcoholic junkie addict. Okay, today I'm going to fuck up my whole life and lose my children. Today I'm going to lose my job and get divorced by my husband because I can't stay off dope. Today I'm going to fucking spend all my money on methamphetamine. Today I'm going to get arrested for possession of a controlled substance and go to prison. Like, I can tell you guys 100% when I used dope for the first time, when I got high for the first time, I was a kid. I was 17 years old. I had no idea that it was going to ruin my life. I saw other people use drugs and it didn't ruin their life and they were operating just fine in life. But you know what? Those people weren't me. Those people didn't have the disease. Those people weren't like me. And I fucked up. Now when I look back on it, I'm like, damn, man, but there's nothing you could have told me. I was 17. I didn't know. I didn't know any better. And by the time, I started to realize I had a problem, I was in too deep. I was already strung out. It was already a done deal, There are many situations which arise out of the phenomenon of craving, which cause men to make the supreme sacrifice rather than to continue the fight. The classification on alcoholics seems most difficult, and in much detail is outside the scope of this book. There are, of course, the psychopaths who are emotionally unstable. We are all familiar with this type. They are always going on the wagon for keeps. They are over-remorseful and make many resolutions but never decisions. There is the type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot take a drink. He plans various ways of drinking. He changes his brand or his environment. There's the type who always believes that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, he can take a drink without danger. There is the manic depressive type who is perhaps the least understood by his friends and about whom a whole chapter could be written. Then there are types entirely normal in every aspect except in the effect alcohol has upon them. They are often able, intelligent, and friendly people. So that told you all about different people, right? Different people that use. All these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing the phenomenon of craving. They cannot start using crack without developing the phenomenon of craving. They cannot take a pill without developing the phenomenon of craving, okay? This phenomenon, as we have suggested, may be the manifestation of an allergy which differentiates these people and sets them apart as a distinct entity. It has never been any treatment with which we are familiar permanently eradicated. So addiction has never been permanently cured. The only relief we have to suggest is abstinence, is to stop using, So they have said this phenomenon of craving in this whole chapter like 7 times already. That is what sets us apart from people who do not have the disease, is the phenomenon of craving. This immediately precipitates us into a seething cauldron of debate. Much has been written pro and con, but among physicians, the general opinion seems to be that most chronic alcoholics are doomed. That's what they used to believe, that we were doomed, you guys, and that we were never going to get our lives back and never be able to get sober. I'm so grateful that, that there's a way now that we can get sober and stay sober. I truly believe that fellowship is one of the things that has saved my life, is being able to come on here and talk with you guys about recovery and share my story and help others. This has saved my life. Do y'all have anything that y'all want to say? Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to come up and share about anything? Mimi says, my addiction started when I was 17. Big old bag of biscuits said, I used to make people relapse so I could have a ride. Is there any way to rewatch this? It's 3 a.m. Oh yeah, Lisa, I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel on Real Talk Recovery, okay? So, now we're going, if you guys don't have anything to say and you don't want to come up here, I'm going to go on to the next page, okay? And I'm really glad that everybody's here. If you don't mind, give the video a like and share it. Invite some people over here so that way they can also, hear what we're learning. Hold on. Let me see my dog. Hold on, guys. Jenna, you can go outside? Are you outside? She can stay outside for a little bit. Okay. Okay. So, good job. Congratulations on 4 days. Hey, Tiffany. What's up, girl? Okay, so let's keep going. Are y'all ready? Let's do this. What is the solution? Perhaps I can best answer this by relating one of my experiences. Here we go. About 1 year prior, you can come up here and share if you want to. About 1 year prior to this experience, a man was brought in to be treated for chronic alcoholism. He had but partially recovered from a gastric hemorrhage and seemed to be of a case of pathological mental deterioration. He had lost everything worthwhile in life and was only living, one might say, to drink. He frankly admitted and believed that for him there was no hope. Following the elimination of alcohol, there was found to be no permanent brain injury. He accepted the plan outlined in this book. 1 year later, he called to see me, and I experienced a very strange sensation. I knew the man by name and partly recognized his features, but all resemblance ended. So he knew the guy by name, but that's it. You know, he didn't really. From a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck had emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. I talked with him for some time, but was not able to bring myself to feel that I had known him before. To me, he was a stranger, and so he left me. A long time has passed with no return to alcohol. So he became a new person. Like, he got sober and totally changed, and the doctor didn't even know who he was. You guys, can I tell you how many times people have said, sorry, my boobs are sweating. Can I tell you guys how many times people have said that to me? Like, you're not even the same Nicole. Like, you're a totally different person now. You know, and it's the truth. I have changed so much since getting sober. I'm not the person I was in active addiction. You know, I was crazy back then. I was wild. I would do anything, you know. I would do anything to get high. It didn't matter who got in my way. If you got in my way, I'm moving you over, baby, because I'm going to get my shit. You know, I would run a marathon to get high. And that's why I tell people here on TikTok, like, if you were willing to run a marathon to get high, like I was, then that means you got to be willing to run a marathon to stay sober. A lot of people want to have the amazing ability to be sober without putting the work in. You know, coming on TikTok and making a TikTok video will not keep you sober. This is not sobriety. You know, this is not recovery. It takes work. It takes therapy. It takes working with another person and learning about the disease of addiction and learning how to cope without drugs. It takes a lot of fucking work. Okay. When I need a mental uplift, I often think of another case brought in by a prominent physician in New York. The patient had made his own diagnosis and, deciding his situation hopeless, had hidden in a deserted barn, determined to die. He was rescued by a searching party and, in desperate condition, brought to me. Following his physical rehabilitation, he had a talk with me in which he frankly stated he thought that treatment was a waste of effort unless I could assure him, which no one ever had, that in the future he would have the willpower to resist the impulse to drink. So he wanted the doctor to be able to tell him, yeah, man, you're going to be better, and from now on you will never want to drink again, which, you know, nobody can promise you that. His alcoholic problem was so complex and his depression so great that we felt his only hope would be through what we then called moral psychology, and we doubted if even that would have any effect. However, he did become sold on the ideas contained in this book. He has not had a drink for a great many years. I see him now and then, and he is a fine specimen of man, as one could wish to meet. I earnestly advise every alcoholic to read this book through and through. Perhaps he came to scoff. He may remain to pray. That's it. That's the end of the doctor's opinion. So the doctor's opinion is that you need to read this book, and you might say, ha 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 ha, I don't need that book. But if you read it, you may actually remain to pray, stay alive. So, what do y'all want to talk about? Give me some stuff I can help y'all with. Drop some struggles in the comment section. I got y'all. Okay? Throw something my way. Anything you can throw, I'll help you with it. Okay? I remember when I first got sober. Hey, Cynthia, thank you for being here. I remember when I first got sober, you guys, I was like, I'm not going to do no AA. I'm not going to do no NA. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. You guys, it is so beneficial to do any kind of program you can get into. Now that I'm sober and I've been sober for this long, I'm doing different programs. I'm checking out all the programs. I've done Smart Recovery. I've done MARA. I've done AA, NACA. I've done Celebrate Recovery. They're all great programs that offer help and support. Help and support from other people that have been through what you've been through, hands down, one of the best things you can do if you're trying to stay sober is connect with other people who have been through the same thing that you've been through. Yeah, it's really important to connect with other addicts and alcoholics. I truly believe that. Hold on, let me share this. Hey guys, what's up? Hold on. Okay, so so here's the thing, you guys. Like, for those of you guys, okay, if you relapsed or had an episode of use in EOU, if you had an EOU, okay, and you picked up, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, you shaming yourself, you downing yourself. Hey, Catherine, what's up? I'm glad you made it. You downing yourself and you shaming yourself, that is not conducive to your sobriety, okay? So you need to throw the guilt and the shame out the motherfucking window, all right? Because that shame and guilt is going to keep you sick. That's going to keep you hiding underneath the rock, not coming out, not sharing about what you're going through. There's nothing to be ashamed of, okay? Stop putting so much weight in the sobriety time and the date, and put weight into making it one day at a time, okay? When you first get into recovery, all you need to focus on is the day that you're in, today, okay? We cannot project ourselves into the future, all right? When we're trying to do that, that's what causes anxiety. That's what causes us to not feel good, right? When we start thinking like weeks ahead. Let me tell y'all what I used to do, because I am a glutton for punishment. Don't you motherfucking know that? So when I first got sober, my son was in CPS custody, and so what would I do? I'm never going to get my son back. I just know what's going to happen next week at court. I'm going to go in and they're going to say that I'm not fit to be a mother, and they're going to deem me medically insane or some shit like that. And I'm never going to see my son again, right? That's what I dealt with for about 6 months of my sobriety at the beginning. Then after I got my son back, guess what it was then? It was, I'm a horrible mom. I'm never going to be able to raise my son to be a good child. I'm going to fail at everything. I'm never going to be able to find a job that's going to be gainful. Okay? These are things that I would project myself into the future in, instead of staying right in the moment. Okay? When you first get into recovery, you need to focus on building yourself a good support network, having one person that you can call no matter what, okay? A sponsor is what I would call it, mentor, okay? You need to have somebody that you can reach out to morning, noon, or night when you're having a struggle, okay? Addiction is a disease that isolates us, okay? Addiction is a disease that does not want us to be connected to others, okay? So when we find sobriety, we need to get plugged in and connected, okay? The opposite of addiction is connection, all right? One of the ways that you can fight the disease of addiction is by getting right in the middle of the recovery community, making some friends. Like, if you're a woman, reach out to some other women in the recovery community and ask them, like, how can I hang out with you guys? How can I be a part of the meetings that you guys do? How can I be, a part of what you're doing? I want to be a part of that, you know. We have a chat group, you guys, a Facebook Messenger chat group, and there's like 40 people in there, and that connects you with 40 other people in recovery that are on TikTok, and anybody is welcome to be in that Messenger chat room. If you want to, click the link in my bio, go to the Facebook button, join our Facebook group, and then send me a private message, and I'll add you to the chat. Okay? In that chat, we share videos, we go live. I have girls that are going to be going live in the Facebook group that are taking on the responsibility to go live in the evening. So that way you guys will have live streams in there too. But that's ways that you can connect with other women. Okay, if you're a dude, connect with some other guys. Get in the middle. Find you guys some good, solid guys that are in recovery. I can like make a list of women and men that I would refer you guys to that are solid, that I would think that would help you in your recovery, you know? That's right, Catherine. And so, okay, so if you go to outside of here and you go up to the top of my profile, there's a little link that says Beacons page /IIRTR. Click that link and it'll open you up to my Beacons page. And then there'll be a little Facebook emblem. When you see the F, click that F and it'll take you to my Facebook page. There's my YouTube channel, Instagram, everything is over there. And send me a private message and I'll add you to our group chat. I always post when I'm going to go live in that group chat, so that way you guys know and you guys can come over here, okay? When I got sober in 2015, you guys, I had just gotten my son taken away, okay? My son had just gotten taken away. I was very, very depressed. I didn't know how I was going to make it. I felt like I wasn't going to make it. I felt like I was going to lose my son forever and that I was just going to die, a drug addict. And when I came out of treatment, they told me to do one thing. Before I left the treatment center, they said, make sure that you have a sponsor before you leave this treatment center, okay? And so if I didn't listen to one damn thing they said in that whole fucking treatment for 30 days, I got a sponsor before I left there. I asked a woman that was telling her story. She would bring a meeting in every Monday. I think it was Monday night. She would bring a meeting in every Monday night and she would share her story. Her name was Kathy. And she was older than me. She was like in her 50s or 60s. And I remember the first time she shared, she said, I'm a pillhead in recovery. And I said, I need her to be my sponsor. Because I'm a pillhead too, Kathy. I'm a pillhead. And so I walked up to her and her friends. I was so scared. I was so embarrassed. I thought that they would not want me to be a part of their crew. And I said, will you be my sponsor? And she said, you know what? How about this? I'll temporarily sponsor you right now. And then when you get out, we'll see how we work. And so she sponsored me while I was in there for the next 2 weeks. And then when I got out, I met with her for my first time and we decided to work together. And she started taking me through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay. If you guys don't do anything, find you another man or woman that you can work through some kind of recovery program with. If you don't want to do this 12 steps, that's okay. There's books you can order online to do recovery programs through. There's the Russell Brand 12. He did a form of 12 steps. That's Alcoholics Anonymous 12 steps in his book. And you can work those Russell Brand version of the 12 steps. And you can do that together with your sponsor. But you need to find someone that's been sober longer than you. I would say a sponsor with a minimum of 3 to 5 years. Okay, so that way you know you got somebody solid, right? That's not gonna, that's gonna be there with you. Okay, and I'm not saying like somebody can relapse at any time, go back out, but that's what I looked for. I looked for somebody that had a couple, like 3 to 5 years of sobriety time. Okay, so once I got my sponsor and I started working the steps, I started going to meetings with her, which I loved going to meetings, you guys. I'm a social butterfly, so I love going to meetings. I loved getting to know everybody. I loved talking to all the other people that were in recovery. I loved being a part of the group. I eventually moved up to being the secretary of our home group and helping with, all that and bringing snacks and coffee and you become a family. It's a family, So that's what I want to encourage you guys to find. If you can't find that in an outside meeting, you can find it here on TikTok, okay? We have meetings here and it's like family. I go live every single night and we have speakers and everything. And I think it's like a family. I don't know if you guys think it is, but I think it's like a family. I love it. But after I started, sharing and doing the meetings, Tylenol? I don't see why not. After I started doing that, I came online, and that is where I found so much support. I created my own women's group, and we would do meditation every morning, you guys. And so if you have to step out and be a leader, step out, make your own group, and ask other women to join it. Say, hey, I want to do a live stream or a meditation in the mornings for recovery. Do you guys want to join me? And make you a group of like 5 to 10 women. And then you guys get to know each other, and you start leaning on each other, and you become friends. These are things that you can do in your recovery that will help you to stay sober and help you to stay accountable. After I got done building the meditation group, then I built the Real Talk Recovery Facebook group and the Real Talk Recovery YouTube channel. And what has happened now, you guys, is that my channel and this platform has gotten so big that it's kind of hard now to do things in a smaller little crew like I was before. So now what I try to do is come on here and go live and do things where I can reach all of you guys at the same time. No, I do morning meditation on my own, but I haven't been doing it in a group. But now that we have that Facebook Messenger group, I've been trying to drop like a meditation in there in the morning. And what I was thinking about doing is like coming on here and opening the day like at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and opening the day with a meditation all together here on TikTok. Then I could download it and put it on my YouTube channel for anybody that missed it. That's the great thing about TikTok here, is I can download these videos, which I'm going to do that with this one tonight. I can download this video and I can put it on my YouTube channel, so that way you guys, if you missed it here tonight, you can watch it there. So this is the big book that I like to do my meditations out of. It's called The Courage to Change. Do you want to know why I do it out of this book? This book is an Al-Anon book. This is a book for people who love someone with a disease of addiction. Why do I do it out of this book? Because my husband's an addict too. And honey, that means I'm a double dipper. That means I got the best of both worlds. That means I'm an addict and I love one too. And you know how stressful that can be some days? So this book helps me so much. So what we'll do right now is we will read this book together. We'll read us a meditation in this book today. So what do y'all want me to do? Left or right? I've been waking up earlier so we can do the meditation here on TikTok. It'll be fun. But this is my largest platform, and that's why I do it here, because I want to reach as many people as I can. So left, okay. So if you guys are down to join me, then we'll do that. Okay, here we go. As a newcomer, I heard that principles of the program could lead to serenity. I have preferred to hear that the program would cure the alcoholic, undo the damage of the past, or at least pay the gas bill. My idea of serenity was sitting on a mountaintop with a silly grin on my face, not caring very much about anything. I was more interested in passion. Eventually, I realized that serenity didn't have to strip me of my passion. Instead, it offered me a sense of inner security that freed me to live my life as fully and as passionately as I pleased, because it tapped into an unlimited source of energy and wisdom, a higher power. I could make strong choices and take risks because, with this help, I was better able to deal with anything that happened. Nothing can compare to the drama of exploring my full potential as a human being. Once I had a taste of the rich life that could be mine with the help of Al-Anon and my higher power, I discovered that serenity was a great treasure. Today's reminder: today I seek serenity, knowing that when I am serene, I am capable of becoming more fully and more passionately myself. Okay, so let's talk about serenity. Okay, so I remember back in the day, So when I got sober, you guys, I remember a period of time in my sobriety where I felt bored, and I would say that all the time. I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm bored. You know what? It wasn't boredom, you guys. It was serenity. It was peace. I wasn't living a life of chaos no more. I wasn't having to run the streets sucking a D for a hydrocodone, or, fucking robbing a fucking purse outlet to get a bunch of purses to trade to the dope man, or driving my husband, to the hospital and running into a brick wall because I was so high on Xanax bars. Like, I actually had peace in my life. Peace. I actually was okay with being by myself. I didn't have to have somebody around at all times to distract me from myself. Because see, when I was in my active addiction, I didn't want to be alone because I hated myself. I didn't want to see myself in the mirror because I was hurting on the inside. And so when I got sober and I started working, my program, and I started helping others, and I started growing in my recovery, then I realized that I have peace in my life. And I love to be with me. You know what one of the greatest feelings is? Like being in your home and being okay with being at home, and being in a home where you have a stable life. You don't have to worry about whether you're going to get kicked out, whether the lights are going to get shut off, whether or not when you come home there's going to be someone else in your room going through your stuff, stealing your shit. Man, that's the best feeling in the world, to have your stuff and be able to know that it's safe and no one else is going to get it. One of the best feelings in the world is knowing that you don't have to worry about answering to anyone about your children. That your child is your child, and you're taking care of your child, and you're keeping your child alive and healthy and thriving. That's the best feeling in the world, not having to worry about all the horrible things that goes along with addiction. I'm telling you guys, there was a time where I felt like I was bored. But really what it was that I had peace in my life. And I wasn't in a whole bunch of drama. And I wasn't the center of attention. And I was just chilling, relaxed, living life. Who would have thought that life was so amazing and I could have such a wonderful experience without getting high? I didn't think that I would ever be able to have a good experience without being high. I didn't think I would ever be able to be happy unless I was high. I didn't think I would be able to be a good mom. I didn't think I would be able to work. I didn't think I'd be able to be a wife without being high. I truly believed that I had to have substances to do life, and I don't now. I don't have to have substances to do life. I can do life and feel okay with myself now. There was a time where I didn't feel that way, and it felt absolutely impossible for sobriety to be any part of my life. And I'm just so grateful that I have my life today. I'm so grateful that I have my son. I'm so grateful that I can help other people. I'm so grateful that my husband's sober. I'm so grateful that my son is safe and in my custody. I really felt like there was no way to live except for with drugs. And so when I see you guys on here, I see little girls who are making videos and they're on fentanyl, and they feel like they're never going to be able to get sober. They feel like they're never going to be able to be happy. And I totally understand how you feel. I know what it feels like to feel like you're never going to be able to escape drugs and alcohol, because I felt like that for so long. I thought that when I got sober that my life was going to end, and that it was going to be boring and lame, and that nobody was going to like me, and I was going to be ugly and all these things. Do you know what is happening? My life is not boring. First of all, how can it be boring? You guys are literally, I don't have free time. I have to shut my phone off if I want free time because I'm always talking to somebody or texting with somebody that is in recovery or needs help with recovery, right? So Renee says it's so hard to have gratitude, but it's so important. So I used to have that negative attitude, right? Hey, Tim. I used to have that attitude too, Renee, that I could only see the negative things in life. I could only see what I didn't have. And that kept me stuck for so many years. Thinking about what I didn't have, where I wasn't going, who wasn't around me, all that. And when I changed my perception on life and I started to appreciate the littlest things that I had, okay? Like fucking water that's cold coming out of the refrigerator. What a great thing to have. I remember a time when I didn't even have a refrigerator because I was living in somebody else's house. How about a bed to sleep in? I remember when I used to sleep on an air mattress in a crack hotel, okay? I remember that. That was horrible. How about having a TV to watch TV on? I remember when I sold my flat screen for some meth. You know, like, I became grateful because I realized when you have gone to the bottom, it makes it a lot easier to be grateful. It really does. When you lose everything in your life, you start to become more grateful. But gratitude is a practice, okay? So I didn't just wake up one day and was like, I'm so grateful. Yeah. I'm so grateful. Yeah. Right? My sponsor was like, you need to make a gratitude list every single day. Every single day you need to list 5 things that you're grateful for, and you don't need to repeat the thing that you put down. So every day for the last 6 years, I've made a fucking gratitude list. You know what I'm saying? Either on paper or mentally. And that shit works. I had to practice being grateful. Every single thing that I do in my sobriety, I've had to learn and practice. It's like now that I'm doing it, and I've been doing it for 6 years, I don't even realize that I'm doing it anymore. It just has become natural to me to be that way. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just become natural to me to reach out and ask people if they need help. It's just become natural to me to, wake up in the morning and say my prayers and ask for guidance and help to stay sober that day. These are just habits that I have gotten from, doing this over and over and over a thing, And that's what you guys got to do. You got to practice every day. That's how you stay sober, is through practicing, okay? Hold on. I saw your comment, Lachelle. Oh, girl, you got to text me. I was banned all last week. So that's a lot of the things. You got to text me, though, because I have somebody coming on tomorrow night and then Tuesday. But I got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday open. Yeah, for sure, Renee. I'm trying to think of some other things that I can help you guys with, okay? So yes, gratitude was something that has helped me so much. So if you're somebody who's struggling in active addiction, okay, and you're still using, start trying to incorporate these things into your mind now, and as you get sober, you will already be in that gratitude mindset, Oh, affirmations. Catherine says, my daughter and I do affirmations together every morning. That totally help. I think that is amazing. So that's awesome, Kayleen. I'll tell y'all a story about affirmations. So I used to get I used to get a lipstick tube, like red lipstick or whatever, and write on my mirror, Nicole, you are a highly favored, Nicole, I am a highly favored child of God. I would write that. I am beautiful. I am sexy. I am smart. I am funny. Just different affirmations that I could say to myself, but I would write them across the mirror in lipstick. Okay, Friday it is, girl. I would write them across the mirror in lipstick, you guys. And these are all practices that you guys can do that will help you stay sober, okay? I'm trying to think what else. My YouTube channel is my legacy. I'm telling you right now, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of videos on that YouTube channel, y'all. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go subscribe to it. I promise you will not be disappointed. Like, if you guys enjoy doing these recovery meetings with me like we're doing right now, go sub to my YouTube channel. You will love it. I might not have the highest quality set up on YouTube, but I put out the content and I put the work in, and I make videos, like I said, thousands of videos that are, you know, some of them are over 2 hours long, just talking about recovery and helping others and telling stories and all that. And, you know, here on TikTok, you guys, I enjoy telling you guys my crazy story times from when I was in my active addiction. It's not because I like miss it or I'm trying to glorify it. It's because I'm sharing what I went through. You know what I mean? I saw some videos of some girls that are like, they're trolling, or they've been trolling me for like a year, that they're saying, you know, Nicole glorifies addiction, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I'm just sharing my story. I'm just sharing my experiences, you know, and I find it funny. A lot of my stories are hilarious, if you want to know the truth. You can go into my bio and click that, or you can go and type in Real Talk Recovery, and that'll bring me up on YouTube. But it has gotten to the point where these girls are making videos saying such outlandish lies about me. I can't even believe it. Like, I didn't want to talk about it in this video because we're talking about recovery, but it's like just blatant lies, you know? And what makes me sad is that they're actually like convincing people to believe these lies about me, you know, and saying these bad things about me. And I guess, you know, if somebody believes them, then they never were my friend in the first place. You know what I mean? They were never my friend in the first place. And I've tried, yes. So Catherine says, pray for them. They are sick. I realize that they are sick, and I know that 100%, but it doesn't make what they're doing to me hurt less. Like, honestly, it hurts me because, like, I was friends with one of the girls, and I would never do this to her, you know? I would never try to harm her or talk about her family. And the thing that they're like really going hard on me about is they're talking shit about my husband's relapse last year. I was honest about that here on social media. I shared about that because I needed support. And my husband has 9 months sober now. I am so proud of him, you guys. So proud of him. But how could you post about my husband's relapse and make fun of me for that? Why do you think that's okay to do? You know, how could anyone do that? And then saying things like, I said I was a medical professional. I have never said I was a medical professional. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. Hey, Kara. Jealousy is a character defect that we can be grateful isn't our problem. Absolutely. Right. Maybe they expect perfection because they're insecure of what you've done and do. It's jealousy. Yeah. And so I am grateful because here's the thing, you guys. I'm never grateful. I'm never jealous of another woman. I am happy that you are being successful. I am happy that you are getting opportunities. You know why? Because if you are getting opportunities, then that opens up opportunities for me as a woman. You know, so I had to tell you all that because I hadn't really noticed any about. Somebody sent me the videos, and unless somebody sends me the videos, I don't hear about it. People don't come over here and talk to me about it, and I'm grateful that they don't, you know. But someone sent the videos to me, and so I saw them, and I was just like, you know. So anyway, yeah, it's like they're trying to break me, you know, they're trying to get me to feel hurt. like I said, I have a heart, you guys, and I will never go out of my way to hurt another person. I'm not a mean girl. I won't come onto my account of over 100,000 people and make videos about other people and try to hurt them. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I don't do that. I'm not going to make videos and try to make fun of people. That's not what I do. I'm better than that. You know, I'm not going to sit here and make videos and gossip about other people on TikTok and YouTube, because I'm better than that, you know. Women who, yes, oh, thank you. I appreciate you, Daisy. I'm better than that. I'm better than that, you know, but my old Nicole wants to retaliate. Old Nicole, I cannot tell you how many videos I have made and drafted them, okay? You are funny sometimes and you make me cry sometimes and you enrich me, so don't let anybody tell you. Hey Dave, love you. I cannot tell you guys how many videos I've made in the last week and drafted them because I was just going off saying what I wanted to say to these people, you know? And the thing about it is, one of the main women who's doing it to me, she doesn't even know me, dude. She doesn't know me personally, you know? She is just going off of what her friend is telling her. And they have this, like, they have this obsession with, like, thinking that, or saying that I am, like, a liar and a bad person. And all I do is share my experience on here, you know? You didn't stoop to their level, and that's being classy. Yes, the folks talking about you in the AR. No, I don't know. Posh, I don't know what you're talking about. That's a great skill. I do the same. I write it out, what I want to say sometimes, but don't send it. Yes, yes. Hey, Mackenzie, what's up? And so, like, I'm not going to say anything to them. I'm just going to let them keep doing what they're doing. It just makes them look miserable, you know, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and helping others. But I'll tell you guys this, like everything I do here on my TikTok, I absolutely 100% just share my personal experiences. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a nurse. I am just a person in recovery. I do life coaching, which is totally not governed by any kind of, like, you don't have to go to college for that. I do that on my Patreon, and then I help people here, and I work for Dr. B. I actually work, let me tell y'all about my job. Do y'all want to know about my job? Yes, yes, Dave. Oh, I don't know. Oh, yes, it's those same girls who have always been coming after her. Yes. It's the same girls. It's the same girls that have been doing it for the longest. Okay, so let me tell you all about my job, because I think a lot of people don't even know, like, what my job actually is. Okay, so thanks, Geeked Up. You noticed. So I got hired by my boss, Austin, almost 2 years ago. And what I do is I am a marketing genius. No, I am a social media account manager. Okay, and so when I got hired by my boss Austin is the one who runs Dr. B's social media. Okay, I already knew Dr. B, and they were trying to figure out a way to hire me and bring me onto the team. Was I going to go work directly for Dr. B at American Addiction, or was I going to work for the marketing company with Austin? And so what they decided to do was they decided to have Austin hire me, so I work for a marketing company, and I am specifically assigned to Dr. B. Okay, so I handle Dr. B's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, emails, calls, everything. Okay, everything, any way that anybody that's trying to contact Dr. B, they have to go through me. Everything comes to me first. Okay, so what I do is I post on his Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. All right, I answer the phone for his treatment center. Now, this is where it gets kind of like different. So, in a way, I do work. So with his treatment center, which is an outpatient treatment center, if y'all didn't know this, Dr. B is the clinical director of of an outpatient treatment center that he owned. He created it. And then he's also the clinical director of a methadone clinic in Hollywood, California, and over our MAT program. So he has a bunch of different programs and nonprofits. So the one that I answer the phones for, one of them is American Addiction. Okay, American Addiction is Dr. B's IOP, Intensive Outpatient Treatment. Okay, American Addiction Institute, okay, of Mind and Medicine. So I answer the 1-800 number for that treatment center. So if somebody calls the 1-800 number, I say, American Addiction, this is Nicole speaking, how can I help you? 9 times out of 10, when that person is calling, they're calling looking for treatment. They're asking for help. So what I do is I collect all their information. I get to know them. I get to know their story. And if they are calling and they specifically want to go see Dr. B, then we figure out which place they're going to go. So I answer the phones for American Addiction, which is the outpatient program. Then we have another program which is called Zephyr Medical Group. Zephyr Medical Group is our doctor's office. So Dr. B has like a doctor's clinic. At Zephyr Medical, we do MAT treatment. We do alcohol treatment for alcohol, methamphetamine, like any kind of medication management, any of that, okay? All that is what we do. Medication management, all that. A lot of the times people will reach out to us and they will need to be on a Suboxone or a taper, Suboxone taper, a benzo taper. And if they live in the state of California, we can bring them into our clinic and we can taper them, okay? If you are out of the state of California and you want to travel, then you can travel to us, but we can't prescribe across the state lines. Dr. B does coaching, but he can't prescribe medication across state lines. So I also answer the phone for that clinic, Zephyr Medical Clinic, okay? Then we also have, I've been doing it for 2 years, Catherine. We just opened a wound care clinic, you guys. So I also answer the phones for Dr. B's wound care clinic, okay? So I'm a jack of all trades, you know? So when people are calling, it'll show up on my phone, whether it's for American Addiction, whether it's for Zephyr, whether it's for the wound care clinic. And then I help that person get an appointment for wound care, or I help that person get an appointment for MAT treatment at Zephyr, or I help that person get an appointment for a coaching call. Like, these are all the things that I do for Dr. B and his center. Now, if somebody comes in and they want to go to IOP and we decide, okay, they've got insurance or they're going to pay cash, however they're going to do it, my job is to take their name to do their assessment. So I have to go on the computer. It's not a biopsychosocial because a counselor or somebody has to do that. But I do their initial intake assessment, where I ask them when's the first time they used drugs, how old are they, how long have they been using, what are their goals in doing this recovery, all that kind of stuff. And I stay with that person until they walk through the doors at Dr. B's treatment center. Okay, and then even throughout their treatment, I will call them and text them and check on them and see how they're doing. Okay, that's what I do for American Addiction. For Zephyr Medical, we get a lot of people, like I said, who are wanting to come off benzos or wanting to get on Suboxone for opiate addiction. And for those people, they come through, I have them fill out their forms, I help them get an appointment, they get their appointment, and then they see the doctor. After they see the doctor, if they're getting on Suboxone, Dr. B or Alexis will give them my phone number and have them call me, and I will help them go through their withdrawal until they're able to get on to their MAT. So I'm literally like I'm holding their hand the whole way. So, and then I also do the social media part and the emails part. So I do a lot of work for them a lot. I am like heavily connected and intertwined with Dr. B and his program. I love Dr. B. He's like, I look up to him a lot, you know? So that's what I do for a living. And then I'm also just got an opportunity to work with this brand called Self Recovery, which is a recovery online program. Okay. An online program that you can work from the comfort of your own home, and the doctor who runs that is Dr. Hockman. Now, this is my first time ever working with like a brand on social media. So what they're doing is I share about self-recovery here on my TikTok, and if anybody decides to sign up and do the courses, I get like a small commission. But that's just like a little thing I do extra. But I will hold their hand. Exactly. Diana knows because Diana went through it with me. She's one of our patients. And she's been phenomenal. Like, Diana came in, got on MAT, kicked ass, and then got on Sublocade, and now she's living her best life. So what is self-recovery? Great question, girl. I love talking about stuff that I believe in, and I'm glad that y'all don't mind me sharing with you. Okay, so I'm doing it too. It's a program. So self-recovery is a completely online recovery treatment program that you can do from the comfort of your own home. It was curated and built by an board certified psychiatrist who is Dr. Hockman. Okay, you sign on. It's $99 a month. It takes about 3 to 4 months to finish the courses if you go like they do it, but you can do it faster if you want. And you get a certificate of completion at the end of the program. When you sign on, it gives you access to all the courses right away, and it's a video courses with Dr. Hockman, the psychiatrist. Okay, then at the end of each video course, there's a way that you can correspond with other people that are taking the courses. Then about on the 3rd or 4th video, then they open up this new way that you can go to live streams that Dr. Hockman and the peer support specialists and coaches run. And so you can be in those live streams and group meetings, and you also have access to be connected with a one-on-one coach or a one-on-one peer support specialist. So if you're somebody who can't go to treatment, you can't go to rehab, you can't leave your house, you want to learn some stuff, you can do self-recovery. It's all you got to do is click the link again in my bio, and it'll open you up to my beacons, and at the top it says self-recovery, and that's how you sign up for that. Also, if you're somebody who is a peer, you could actually work for this program and be one of their peers to help people, or be one of their coaches to help people. So it's legit. Like, it's a legit program that was created by a psychiatrist, and it's pretty awesome. And so I just started that last week. And I only ever join things, you guys, that I have done myself. So I signed up and I'm doing the courses too. Okay. I had never knew there was anything like this. Okay. I never knew that you could like I thought you had to go, or at least from when I was getting sober, you had to go to like a treatment center. And where I do believe that if you're coming off of alcohol or benzos, I do believe that you should go to detox first, so that way you're safe and medically detoxed. But for somebody that's like trying to get sober from crack or cocaine, or they're trying to get sober from opiates, and they're at home and they pretty much went through their withdrawal, they can sign on to self-recovery and do their courses, talk with other people, talk with the doctor. Like, it's legit. It's legit. My husband is struggling bad with his addiction. I'm so overwhelmed. Hey, Christina. Christina, tell us about what's going on. Amber, no, they can't prescribe any medication at all. No. But I can tell you what you can do if you want to do self-recovery and get yourself on MAT. There's another way that you can get on MAT that you don't have to go to a doctor in your area. So I also kind of I don't work with them, like they're not paying me, but I I always recommend these places, so I'm going to write them down for you guys. If you are looking for mat treatment and you want to do it completely online, I'm going to write it down for you. So the first one is, this is the one I know, the Recovery Delivered.com. Okay. Then there's another one called BUPE.me. And then there's another one called Quick MD. These are all places that can prescribe you Suboxone. And then the last one, if you don't have a lot of money or you don't have Medicaid or something and you need somebody to help you find the cheapest treatment for MAT in your area, you can find them right here at recoverydelivered.com, bupe.me, quickmd, and getsuboxone.com. Every state you can do telemedicine with MAT because of the new law because of coronavirus, okay? So you can do any of these in all 50 states. Now, when you go to the pharmacy, if they give you a hard time, you just call your doctor and have them call up there to the pharmacy. But with the new federal law, it's federal law, okay? They opened up prescribing for doctors so they can do telemedicine. As long as that doctor has a license to prescribe in those states, they can prescribe your medication through telemedicine. Completely legal and legit. Because a lot of people, hey Dusty, what's up, babe? A lot of people, when Corona came, they shut down the doctor's offices and stuff, and people were unable to get medication. And so this is how you are able to get MAT medication online. recoverydelivered.com, bupe.me, quickmd, or getsuboxone.com. Screenshot that. We are even able to do telemedicine at Dr. B's office. The only thing we have to do to keep on being able to do that is we have to make sure that we get drug screened from each patient once a month. So you got to come in and drop us some pee. You know what I mean? So, let me hold it up again. And like I said, some of these, listen to me, like maybe Recovery Delivered, they can't do it in California, but bupe.me can. I think somebody just said bupe.me can't do it in Indiana, but QuickMD can. You just got to find one that will operate in your state. But all these can help you. Like I said, Recovery Delivered, I think, does all 50 states except California. And that's how you can get online MAT if y'all need it, okay? And then, like I said, the way you can do an online recovery program is through self-recovery, which is in the link in my bio. If you just go up to my bio, click self-recovery, and it'll take you straight there to the website. You guys listen to me. I wish that I knew about this stuff whenever I was trying to get sober. I didn't know that there was all these amazing things that you can do that would help you, Yeah, a lot of pharmacies will tell you that can't be done, but it is allowed. The feds opened it up to be able to prescribing through telehealth. And if you guys join, listen to me, if you all sign up for self-recovery, please send me a DM, because if you sign up, I want to add you to our self-recovery group chat with Ashely and Jennifer, because we're all going to get together and live stream and talk about it and talk about what we're working on together, do a Zoom meeting or something. So if you join, tell me so I can add you to our group chat. It's just me and Ashely right now. Ashely, are you in here? If Ashley's in here, I want her to tell you all about how she's doing, because she's been knocking the courses out. So Ashely had her daughter taken, CPS got into her life, and she's trying to work. Okay, good. Ashely, how are the courses? Will you tell everybody how you're doing in those courses? Here, let me see if I can invite you up here. Here, come up here with me if you don't mind. So tonight I'm a flaker and I didn't do it, but we were going to Zoom tonight. But I decided to come on here and just do a meeting like this. But I added Ashely and Jennifer already because we're doing a group. You know, gonna be doing a group thing together. Okay, here's Ashely. Okay, tell me, because I want to know from a person who is like you are a person who is paying for the courses. So tell me, what do you think about it? The truth. You don't have to lie.
I like it. It's like um little videos of the doctor talking, um and like music. And I mean, I'm on the second module.
Uh huh.
And so far, I mean, what I like about it is that you get a certificate and stuff, and it's affordable.
Yeah.
Like when going through my CPS case, they didn't give me like any options to do any kind of outpatient or treatment or anything. And everything else that I've looked into is like super expensive. I can't afford it just, to get a certificate in the end. And
Yeah.
so when you mentioned this, I was like, well, that's like what I'm looking for, and it's affordable. So I mean, so far I think it's going good.
Okay, cool. And like somebody said, music. They have music like songs at the end of each like lesson, I guess, and it's like a song that you can listen to and then kind of share what it means to you, you know. And that first one I listened to was the Blackbird one, "Heal Your Broken Wings and Learn to Fly." I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
why I'm like this, but I was like getting emotional thinking about people that were newly trying to get sober and trying to change their life that was listening to that song for the first time and hearing it. I was thinking that's probably, I don't know, I get emotional, y'all know me, but I
Yeah.
want you to tell everybody because you're almost to 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
You're
Mhm.
almost, I mean, I just looked at, you have almost 7,000. That's really good. um, will you share a little bit of what happened and what happened with your daughter? Do you mind?
Yeah. Um originally really I was doing bad taking my Adderall prescription. So I became addicted to my Adderall prescription after taking it for about 8 years. Um I got to a point where I lost my health insurance and I just needed something. So I started abusing methamphetamine. From then, I mean, right away, everything just fell apart. I lost my house, my car, everything. I lost custody of my daughter, and I was so strung out on drugs that I just didn't even care that I was losing her. I didn't even realize. I mean, I realized it. It's just like it didn't. I didn't. I was like, well, she's with my parents. She's okay. And I just didn't do anything to get her back. So after going through CPS for a whole year, they gave custody to my parents, closed out my case, and said, well, whenever you get your life in order, come back and maybe we can modify it. And so for the last 6 months, I got sober, but I didn't get sober until they took her away from me. And it's like, it's
So
too late now.
when they gave her to your parents, I was telling everybody this because I wanted Nathaniel to go to my mother and father-in-law. I truly believe that like God made it to where he couldn't go with them because God knew that if he went with my in-laws that I would not work so hard to get sober because I would know that he was safe with family. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I think that was what happened is like you were like, well, he's with my parents or she's with my parents. I can see her anytime I want. She's healthy, she's happy,
Hmm.
and she's safe. When you have your kid go to foster care and you don't know where they're placing him, it's like that fire that lit underneath me because I was afraid that Nate was going to get placed with some weird psychos. You know what I mean? And so that pushed me to get him back, work extra hard for it. So I always tell people, I know it sucks to have the kids go to foster care, but it really kind of lights a fire under our ass when that happens.
Yeah. And when they took her away from me, at first I was like, I was doing so bad. I felt so bad about myself that I just felt like she was better off. So I gave up. I was like, she's better off without me. I'm a drug addict. I'm never going to get better. I was content with my life the way that it was. And I just was like, I just convinced myself that I was better off letting my parents keep her and just continuing to do drugs until they were going to kill me because I just didn't care anymore. I would hope that I was, sounds bad, but I, every day I would be like, well, hopefully this one kills me because I can't take it anymore. Couldn't take the pain anymore, knowing that I was choosing that life over trying to get her back.
Well,
And so now it's like overwhelming to even think about that I thought that way.
Well,
But
you didn't choose that. Honestly, it's like I was telling we were just talking about earlier. It's like you're really sick, and that's what the disease of addiction does to our mind. Is that phenomenon of craving is so strong that it negates anything that's important in our life. And we use when we have our kids, or we get our kids taken away and still use. And so I think that you were just so sick you couldn't properly make good decisions, and now that the drugs have been removed from your brain and your brain is healing and you're able to make good decisions, now you see the error of your ways and you're trying to turn it around.
yeah. And then like I've made so many, I've had like, I've always been the one in my family that's like, oh, there goes Ashley again, like hitting rock bottom, and then everybody tries to help me, and then I get better, and then I do it again. And I, like, probably like 5 times in my life that my family has all come together to help me get my house back, get everything back in order, and then I fuck up again. So finally they got to the point where they want, nobody wants anything to do with me now, even though I'm sober 6 months. Like my parents won't even speak to me because they're just like, well, they think like, even though I'm so serious about this time, like this is the first time I've ever gotten sober. I've never gotten sober. I've always just continually used. And so they don't believe me. They're like, she's just gonna keep doing it. I'm like, I never even got tried to get sober before. This is the first time I got sober and did it. So they just assume I'm gonna relapse because they just know how it is.
Well, I'll tell you
And
this: like when I got sober, my parents, I would always say I'm going to get sober, or I would get sober and I would relapse. So my mom and dad, when I got sober, I'll tell you this: it was a year. I had hit my 1 year, and my mom and dad were like, "Oh, you have a year? We're gonna fly, or we're gonna have you come out to New York and see us," because my parents were living at New York at the time. And so me and Neil and Nate got on a train and went to New York to see him. Once they saw that me and Neil were really sober for a year, that's when they were like, And then they moved back to Arkansas, and they got to see me even more. I really don't think my parents like stopped, like I don't think they really like believed I was going to stay sober until I had been sober like 2 or 3 years. Like they were, my mom and my dad were still like sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for me to relapse and the shoe to drop. And I know that to be certain because it was about 2 to 3 years in where they started giving me cash for Christmas. Once they started giving me cash money, that's when I was like, they know I'm really in recovery now, because they would never give me large sums of money unless I was sober. You know what I mean? And so I was like,
mhm.
hell yeah, they believe me. So I'm telling you right now, it's just because you're early in your recovery. A year will go by. You got to stick with it, and then they're going to start changing the way they think. I promise you.
Yeah, that's what's the hardest for me right now because they have custody of my daughter and then they completely cut me off. The only time I get to see her is that one time a week that they let me see her, but they won't talk to me. And it's just like, it gets me thinking, like, well, what's the point? Like, because nothing, I don't see the changes. Like, I just feel like they're not accepting me. Nobody, like, they don't believe in me. And like my daughter's still, even though I'm sober, I still don't get her back. It's just, that's what really, like, every day is like a fight to tell myself that it's worth it to keep on going because like some days I just like, I, what's the point?
Well, I'll tell you this. That is our addiction mind wanting instant gratification. So like this is something that you truly have to work at, and that's going to take time for your parents to trust you and for you to be able to gain, more time with your daughter and see her more. So when you think that way, like what's the point? You got to remember, like, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. Just like getting off of dope didn't happen overnight. Like, you got off and you started healing slowly, slowly, slowly. You know, um, don't throw it
What
away. You have worked so hard. I mean, you're hitting it, girl. 6 months is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, what really keeps me going and staying sober is the fact that I have a serious heart condition now, have heart failure. So, I mean, one more hit one will could kill me. And so I already feel the effects that it's done to me. I feel lightheaded, dizzy, like my heart beats really, really hard. So I can't imagine going back and doing that again. It's literally going to kill me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I have
How did
to
you
avoid
get that? Like, how did you get that heart condition? What happened?
just from abusing medicine.
Yep. Damn.
They said like it's just I don't know, like my heart is super enlarged. It just like works super hard, isn't pump enough blood. One of the I forgot what it's called, but one of the valves is like not even moving blood to my heart the way it's supposed to. So it's like a useless valve. And so that's why like I get so dizzy when I stand up and stuff because like it's not giving me enough blood like to my brain and I want to get up and move fast, but like my heart's not pumping enough.
Oh man.
So it's just scary, like to think that like if I were to like continue doing it, like you can't live without your heart, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, like I don't know. I know that happens to a lot of people, but there's like I'm like, why me? Because I know people who I'm only 29. Like there's people that do it for like 30 years and that never happens to them. And then me, I was only doing meth for 3 years. I was taking Adderall for 8 years, but meth I was only doing it for three. So I don't know how it happened so quickly. Um, but I never smoked. It was like straight to shooting, and
Uh-huh.
that's all I did. So I guess that also could be why, but I don't know. But the
Girl,
doctor told me, I don't know how you're even standing here right now with the way your heart is. We don't even know how you walked in here today. It's what they.
I'm going to tell you why it happened to you, because God knew if it didn't happen to you that you would stay out there doing it. Like, this is probably like this is a blessing in disguise that's helping you to stay accountable and stay sober, because
Yeah,
without that, it might be easier to go back out. You don't want your daughter to not have, you don't want to die, because if you die, then your daughter won't have her mom anymore. You'll never see her until she gets in heaven, like 35 million years from now. But
mhm.
listen to me. I know exactly how you feel when you don't get to see your daughter. Like, whenever Nathaniel got taken away from me, that was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my whole entire life.
Yeah. I can't even like at the time it didn't hurt that bad, but now being sober and just having the guilt of remembering like the things that I've done, like it's like unbearable. Like I hate to say it, but I chose drugs over her over and over and over. And it's just like, I don't know how I could possibly forgive myself. And she has no idea that I'm a drug addict. Like, and I have heart problems. Like, she'll be like, well, what's wrong with it? I'm like, well, because I didn't take care of myself. And she'll put her head to my chest and she'll be like, it sounds fine to me. And I'm like, I know. But she just doesn't understand. She's only 5. So she
But
doesn't remember. Yeah, she doesn't remember.
that's how Nate doesn't remember being taken away from me either. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Um,
But then kind of hurts my feelings because she doesn't even remember being with me. She didn't get taken away until she was just when she turned 4. So she's been away from me for 1 year, but she doesn't even remember really being with me. And I don't know if she's blocking out the bad times. Because I know you can't really remember before you're 3, but she should at least remember a little bit.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's different for all kids. You know, I mean, she remembers you are her mom, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure she has some memories of when she was little living with you. You know, don't listen to me. The guilt and the shame, though, girl, that is going to make you just sick to death. I know because I am the same way. And stop saying that you chose drugs over your daughter, okay? You need to tell yourself, you need to forgive yourself because you were sick, and you need to tell yourself that. Like, I was sick, and it's not negating responsibility, okay? But you were sick, like you really were. Because a lot of people will say that to me. How could you choose drugs over your son? How could you use drugs while you were pregnant? And it's because I was out of my mind. You were out of your mind. You were not the person that you are today. You were not sane. Using drugs and alcohol makes us insane. You know, you are not of healthy mind and body. And so that's how it happened, because you were sick. And that's what you got to remember, because no mom wants to harm their kid. You know what I mean? At least we don't want to harm our children. You know what I mean? And so you got to forgive yourself for that. It's hard to forgive, and you'll never forget, but you got to start trying to heal and forgive yourself. And you're making strides to working towards getting your daughter back. That's the main thing you got to keep on doing to keep yourself moving forward, is keep doing extra things to show them that you are, you know, that you are changed, and that you want to be in your daughter's life, and that you want to have her back in your custody, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to make you cry, bring you up here to make you cry, but I just know that I know that you speak about it, you know, and I think other people, you know, I've spoke so much about having Nate taken away. I think it's like people want to hear other people's experiences with having their kids taken away, you know?
Yeah, it's good for me to talk about it because
Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You there? I can't hear you. It's like the speaker went out. If anybody is on here that has had their children taken away, like me and Ashely have, you're not alone. And if you guys want to, like I said, join on our recovery group messenger, you can, and we'll be there to support you. Okay, can I hear you now?
yeah.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
there you are. Say something.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Hello?
I got you now. Go ahead. Damn, it's dark. Let me get out of this, into this other room. That way I can see. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. Yes, I used to cry all the time whenever Nate first got taken away from me. That helped me a lot too. Tears are healing. Okay, go ahead, Ashely. I'm listening.
I it's almost been like a secret to me. I've been like so embarrassed to like tell my friends. So just recently, like just like since I've been talking to you and stuff, it's like the first time that I've ever even told anybody that I lost custody of my daughter and all that. And I think it really helped me.
I'm so proud of you, girl, for sharing for sharing with me and coming up here and talking about it, because it gives you support. When you talk about it, it helps you to heal, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel good to be able to talk about it to somebody else that's been through it? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Well, I think her phone was messing up. But you guys, it helps to be able to talk to somebody else that's been through what you're going through. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I tell you guys it's so important to have fellowship, because I'm telling you guys right now, it's hard, man. It's hard when you're all alone and you don't have nobody to talk to what you've gone through. Ashely, if you want to come back up, you can. But if your phone's messing up, I understand. If anybody else wants to come up, y'all can come too. We're going to stay on a little bit longer, okay? So let me go upstairs and make sure that Nate is going to bed. Hold on, you guys. Or I'll take y'all with me. He's so sassy, no telling what he's going to say. Hey, Nate! Nathaniel! It's time for bed.
No, Mom, no!
Shh. I'm on a live stream. No talking sassy. It's not. Nate, you got 10 more minutes.
Yeah!
That's it. 10 more minutes. Neil, I'm giving Nate 10 more minutes, so you got to call him in here after that, okay? Okay, well, I'm finishing up my live stream, but please make sure you get him in bed in 10 minutes. It's 9 o'clock. Okay? Okay. Okay. Good deal. What are you terrified for, girl? There ain't nothing to be afraid of. Nate's playing his games, you guys. Which I don't mind him playing because, like I said, this is another thing that I struggle with is a mom guilt, okay? Like, I'm like, am I doing enough? Am I taking good care of my kid? Like, I feel like guilty because I feel like I'm not a good mom. You know what I mean? And I think that is a recovering addict kind of thing. Hey, Nikki, what's up, girl? How are you feeling? So, I just want people to know that y'all are not alone. Like, when I'm telling you guys 100%, like, I struggled so much when I was first getting sober. I'm telling you, like, the first 2.5 years were so difficult for me. I'm going to eat some yogurt and we're still going to talk, okay? The first 2.5 years was an uphill battle, you know, every day. Especially since I didn't have custody of Nathaniel for the first, 6 months to a year. I want you guys, good. Hey, that's always a good thing. I want you guys to listen to me, okay? Like, if you want to be successful and you want to stay sober, like I was saying earlier, you got to get plugged in, you guys. You got to get plugged in, all right? Like I was saying earlier, the disease of addiction is an isolating disease. It wants you to stay alone. It wants you to hide out at your house and not talk to anybody. It wants you to, hang out at the dope man's house and not be around people that are, sober. It wants you to do those things. That's what our disease feeds off of, is isolation. And so in order to get through the disease and to heal from your disease, you have to, get out there and put yourself around other people. Guilt parenting is so hard, Karen. Me and Tracy Helton, you guys, are going to do a bi-weekly mom cast where we talk about stuff, from recovering addicts that are moms' point of views. And I think y'all are really going to enjoy it because we're going to talk about all these things. Parenting, guilt parenting, all of it. And me and my husband, we both struggle with guilt parenting my son, we beat ourselves up about it too, but we love our son so much, and we feel horrible for the things that we put him through in the past, So, Tracy says she has Tuesdays and Thursdays off. So she's going to text me tomorrow. She's checking her schedule, you guys. She's going to call me tomorrow or text me tomorrow and let me know whether we're going to do it on Tuesday or Thursday. But it's going to be the bomb. Okay? And you guys, I don't want to out you or anything, but our girl in the chat, Daddy's Issues, she needs to have our support, and we need to rally around her. Diana, I sent Nikki, Daddy's Issues, the link to the Mara meetings, the Zoom Mara meetings. Maybe y'all can get together and go to a Mara meeting online together, and I'll go with you guys too. And also, you guys, if you want to be added to our little group chat, I have a group chat, like I said, on Facebook. There's men and women in there, but mostly women. Like 40 of us, And what I always like going to, y'all, I love speaker meetings. I love hearing other people's stories, okay? So, whenever, and she's in California too, Diana. just so you know. So I think y'all are close to each other. I'm in Arkansas, so it sucks. But I love hearing other people's stories. You know what I mean? That's why I'm trying to bring you guys. Are you really, Catherine? Where? That's why I'm trying to bring you guys all these different creators who are in recovery to share their stories, no matter what recovery path they choose, because we're all different. Not all of us are going to have the same recovery, right? And so tomorrow, Cassie is going to come on, and Cassie did 8 years in the pen, and she like did some kind of diamond heist. You're in Little Rock, so am I. I'm in Little Rock too, you guys. So here's the thing. Like I tell all my girls, we're not about no drama. We're not about no bullshit. We don't take things that we talk about out of the group. We don't gossip about other people. We focus on recovery. That's what this is about, okay? I've never had any problems with the group. Only when I first started Real Talk Recovery 4 years ago, when I first started, I made the mistake of allowing girls in the group to gossip and click up, and that's what ruined it. So stick to recovery, stick to lifting each other up, stick to being positive and helping each other, you know what I mean? And you will be fine. There won't be no problems, you know what I mean? It's when we start like talking about another person or talking about another TikToker over here, that's when shit starts going south. I'm telling you guys 100%, it'll be successful if we stick to the plan. So all you have to do if you want to join the messenger group is click the link in my bio, go to the Facebook group, which is Real Talk Recovery with Nicole, and then send me a DM and I will add you into our private chat, okay? And like I said, you will get out of recovery what you put into it, you guys, okay? So if you don't actively speak to anybody and you kind of just like hang out in the back and don't put an effort into it, then, you know, nobody's going to pull it out of you, right? So you got to get in there and you got to be like, what's up? Hey, my name's Nicole. What's up, everybody? I'm in recovery. I've been sober for this long, or I'm not sober yet. I'm trying to get sober. All that stuff, you know? One of the things that helped me the most when I first got into recovery was linking up with girls online that I could talk to anytime, day or night. I had a little text chat group, and I have one now on my phone where we talk to each other and we text each other and we do recovery together. And so I just want you guys to know that you're not alone, okay? Recovery is not a thing that you do alone. It is totally a thing that you do with others. The fellowship of recovering addicts is amazing. Getting together and having a good time without drugs and alcohol, like I was saying earlier, I got so emotional because I never thought that I was going to be able to have fun without drugs and alcohol. I never thought that I would be able to be a mom without being high to do what I needed to do. I never thought that I would be able to be a wife and be good with my husband and do things without having drugs in my body. Okay? Yes, I struggle with my energy. Yes, I struggle with my weight, right? But you know what? Those are things that I can fix. Those are things that I can heal, all right? If I'm using drugs to heal those things or take those things away, that's only going to make my situation worse, right? Even though I have some things I'm struggling with right now, and you guys know, like, I'm super duper open about what I struggle with, I don't want to lose my sobriety, and I don't want to go back to that life of chasing the next hit. Okay? Whenever you think about wanting to get high, I want y'all to think about this. I want you to think about chasing after the dealer to get the next hit. I want you to think about after you've been high for 2 or 3 days and you're coming down and you're in withdrawal. Okay? I want you to think about all the things that you lost because of your addiction. What I always tell my new people to do, if you're having triggers, I want you to sit down. I want you to make a pros and cons list of why the pros of getting high and the cons of getting high. Okay? And there might be a couple pros over there, but I promise you, the cons of using drugs will outweigh your pros. Okay? Especially if you're an addict like I am. And if you're still using, practice harm reduction. Try to make sure that you're not using too much. Try to make sure that you're making sure that your dope is tested. Lindsay, one of my girls commented and said the same thing. Isn't weight one of the main reasons why women relapse? And I think it is. You know, one thing that I'm trying to learn, even though I'm uncomfortable with my weight, is that I'm still a beautiful person. You know what I mean? I'm still beautiful. Just because I am overweight and unhappy with my size doesn't mean I'm not beautiful. Doesn't mean I'm not smart. Doesn't mean I'm not amazing, you know? It just means I have something I want to work on. You know what I mean? And you know what else has helped me with that? I watch a lot of girls on here who are a lot bigger than I am, right? Oh, you're welcome, Kayleen. I'll see you later, girl. And they are so confident. And I'm like, you know, it's like I can be confident in my own skin, you know? I can do this. I don't want to get comfortable at this weight because I'm not happy at this weight, but I want to work on it, you know? Hey, Havana. Well, I'll tell you this. I didn't feel bad about myself either when I first got sober. You know what helped me? Oh, it's yogurt with some granola. You know what helped me? You guys did. You guys helped me. Y'all helped me realize that I am beautiful inside and out. And that's what's helped me to see that I am. Because I'm telling you, 100%. People that reach out to me, that trust me, that believe in me, that has changed my life, and that has made me realize, like, I'm worth it. You know what I mean? It's amazing to be able to help people and to be a part of people's lives at their vulnerable points and be there for them. It makes me so happy to be able to help other people, and it gives me so much peace. And it's helped me to build my own self-confidence and my own self-worth. You know, just like they said in the book we were reading, right? The big book. It talks about how these men and women help each other without they don't want anything back from each other. They just help each other to get sober and stay sober. And that's one of the things that helps us stay straight. I remember when I was like 120 pounds, right? I was so skinny. And I remember I was laying on the floor at my boyfriend's house. His name was Robert. And I was laying on my stomach, and I had been using meth. And he said, just 5 more pounds and you'll be perfect. And I remember laying there thinking, I'm strung out on meth. And I remember thinking, like, he's right. I'm not perfect, you know? I was like 17 or 18 years old. And now, at the heaviest I've ever been, I feel more confident now than I did when I was skinniest I've ever been. You know, and that's because I do esteemable acts. What's an esteemable act, Nicole? I'm going to tell you. One of the ways that you build your self-confidence when you get sober is by doing esteemable acts. Things that build your self-esteem and self-confidence, like getting a job, working a job, being promoted, helping others, having integrity. That's all integrity, okay? If you see somebody throw a piece of trash on the ground, pick it up and put it in the trash can, right? When nobody's looking, right? Integrity. These are things that build your self-esteem when you get sober. So, I have a lot of girls that I work with that, you know, and I was the same way during my active addiction. I did a lot of things that made me feel horrible, you know, at desperate times in my life. And in order to heal from those things, now I do the opposite of what I did back then. You know, back then I was a hustler. Back then I was a liar. Back then I was a manipulator. And now I work, you know, a legit job, you know, a job that is like my, you know, it's a legit job. Back then I was stealing and lying and cheating and manipulating. Oh my. Oh, you did, Mackenzie? And so I'm just telling you guys, like, little by little, when you get sober, you start building your life back, okay? Little by little. You get sober, you start doing recovery stuff, going to meetings, meeting with other people. Then you start working your little job. Then you get your own place. You get your car, get your license back, all that stuff, you know, get your insurance. Who would have thought paying for insurance could make you feel good? Who would have thought paying the rent on time could make you feel good? It does, though. You hand it there. What's up? What's up, Oche? What's up? You guys, I never thought that I would have a car. After I lost my car, I was like, how am I ever going to get a car again? Yeah, Ashley, you can come on now if you want. Or you can come on another time. Whatever you want to do. I thought, I'm never in a car again. Oh my God. And then I remember, I was like 2.5 or 3 years sober. And I finally got a car. You know? What are you going to out of state for? Listen to this, y'all. If you're out of state at like a plane or a train station and you're triggered and you want to use, you could ask the flight attendant to call on the overcom and say, is there a friend of Bill W. here? We need all friends of Bill W. here, and somebody in recovery will come and hang out with you. Isn't that cool? I did not know that. I'm going to Tennessee in November. Does anybody live there? Yes, Diana. So you know Bill W. wrote the big book, did the AA big book, right? If you're struggling and you are triggered and you want to get high, you can call on a friend of Bill W. And they'll come and sit with you at the airport. Somebody in recovery. I think that is amazing, dude. Amazing. Oh, I'll be in LA. Maybe around December. That's how big recovery is, y'all. Oh, come on, Ashley. I'm sorry about that, girl. Hey, girl, what's up?
Getting a call. So my boyfriend was calling, and you know, every now and then 'cause he's in jail, so I had to take it.
Okay, tell us
like
how
9 days.
CPS got involved.
Okay, so I started doing meth. So I got it. So I was dating this guy, and he was a chronic relapser throughout our relationship, but I never touched it. He would leave for days at a time, come back home, and he'd be all strung out, and I would be like, how could you do this? So I got to the point one day where I was like, well, I want to try it too. Because I was like running out of my Adderall prescription. I didn't have insurance. He was like, it's like the same thing. Because he was trying to get me hooked on it so it would be easier for him to do it. Because he could stay home and do it and not have to leave. He thought like, well, if she gets on it too, then it'll be easier for me.
Right.
So I started doing it. Right. He told me right away, like, it'll ruin your life. I'm like, I'm just going to do it one time. I just want to see what it's like, if it's the same. If I can test it out, if I can, like, not get this prescription for my Adderall, then I won't. And so then I started doing it. From that second that I did it, I didn't leave my bathroom for like 15 days. I looked like crazy. I looked like shit. And so I quit my job. Like all these things started happening like right away. And so like my family was kind of like suspicious, like what was going on, like why was I getting into trouble, why did I quit my job, why did I look the way I looked, why was I losing so much weight. And I just kept on telling them like, I don't know, like I don't know, like leave me alone. I kept denying. So then my daughter's dad, he would get we were already broken up. He would get her every other weekend. He would come to my house and pick her up. Well, one day he came to pick her up and he's like, where's your car? Well, my car had gotten stolen by this girl that I let spend the night. She was selling me some shit. And she was like, I don't have anywhere to go. Can I spend the night? I was like, sure. Well, I woke up in the morning. She stole my car. So my baby daddy was like, well, where's your car? And I was like, oh, it's getting fixed. And I started like piling up the lies. I told all my family that my car was in the shop and I wasn't working because I didn't have my car. And I was just like piling up all these lies and lies. And so my daughter's, me and my boyfriend, well, I started seeing like this other guy. He was and he was doing it too. And that's the guy that I'm with right now. And so he was doing it too, not as bad as I was. He was like, he had just quit. And so he had been sober for like 6 months. And I kind of got him back into it again because I was doing it. And so me and him, we were together all the time with my daughter, and he's a good guy. And so my daughter's dad just got so jealous that I was seeing somebody, and he knew we were on drugs. We were both really skinny and we looked really bad. And he's like, I know you're doing drugs. I know that guy you're with is doing drugs too. And I'm like, no, we're not. No, we're not. And then so when I went to go pick up my daughter on that Sunday, he had a gun. He was like, I'm not letting her go with you. She's not going with you. And I was like, you need to give her to me. Well, my boyfriend gets out of the car because my ex was like pushing me around. And he got out of the car. And as soon as he stepped out of the car, my daughter's dad shot him in the stomach. So he shot him. He's on the floor bleeding out. I'm all like super high. I was like all like strung out. And so I called 911 and everything. And I told them I just got into an altercation with my daughter's dad and my boyfriend. And he said he shot him because we were on drugs. He's like, I'm not letting you go home. I'm not letting you take my daughter with this drug addict. And so he shot him. He thought that was, I mean, he was in the wrong, but he also was like fed up with my shit.
But
And
shooting
so,
him?
yeah, I know. And so then that happened. Once he got shot, obviously the cops are going to call CPS on us. So they called CPS. They're like, there's this whole altercation. People are shooting people. They're saying there's drugs involved and all this mess. So then I was in the hospital with my boyfriend because he was, going through all these surgeries and stuff. And I didn't want to leave him. So I was like in the hospital with him, and CPS starts calling my phone. They're like leaving me voicemail saying, I'm your caseworker or I'm the investigator and I need to meet you and we need to talk about what happened. I kept like not answering, not texting back, not answering for like a month until I went to my house to go pick up some clothes. And there was like a packet on my front door saying, we're taking, or something about like court order for taking custody of my daughter. Well, my daughter was already staying with my parents because when my boyfriend got shot, they were like, you handle your business, we'll take care of her. And so I was supposed to be handling my business. I was supposed to be getting everything in order. And they kind of were suspicious that I was doing something, but they didn't really know. And so during that time, I got really bad. While he was in the hospital, I was so traumatized from what had happened with the shooting and everything that I started leaving my boyfriend there for days. And I would go out getting drugs and I would come back and like, are you okay? How are the surgeries? And then I would leave again for like a couple of months. And when he got out, I was really bad. And he knew he obviously couldn't do drugs anymore because he had like all these surgeries. His liver was messed up. He had a kidney taken out. His gallbladder was removed. His lungs were like had to be repaired. And so I was like, he was in on bed rest so much that I started like really abusing the drugs. They never got like any kind of help with what had happened. They were like they were giving my daughter counseling and stuff, the shooting,
Yeah.
because she saw what and nobody cared. I was like, nobody cared that I was the victim and he was trying to shoot me. And I was so traumatized that I just got really bad on it, I guess, to like block out the feelings that I was feeling, the PTSD from it. And so once they took custody of her, my parents were like, we're just keeping custody until you get your life in order to give her back to you. What I didn't do was CPS asked me for a whole I didn't do I
Hey, you're covering up the microphone with your hand.
oh, I didn't like I did all my drug test, but I wasn't I was using like synthetic pee. I was using synthetic pee until finally after like 6 months in, they took me in for a hair test and I failed the hair test.
Yep.
And so that's they were like, she's doing meth, and they told everybody. They told my parents, they told everyone. We went to court, they told the judge, and then well, then my boyfriend got arrested for having a warrant because when he was in the hospital and stuff, he didn't meet up with his probation officer. He went like MIA. So they arrested him, having a warrant out for his arrest. And when he got that warrant, this was in October of last year. I just like all my whole life just fell apart. I started like really getting bad on it. I had all these like roommates because I was scared to be by myself. I had all these roommates living with me. Nobody was paying me anything. Everybody was stealing from me. They were giving me drugs as payment for rent. My car was all a piece of shit. And so I didn't do what I was supposed to do to get my daughter back. And then in May of this, oh no. So I started one of the guys that I was living with, he he like beat me up really bad. He beat me up. I had a black eye, like he strangled me, and I called the cops and everything. They took me to the hospital, and that was the day that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, it's not even fun anymore. And so when I they took me to the hospital to check me for my injuries with my neck and stuff, they were like, "Is your heart always like this?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They were like, "Heart beating like 150 beats per minute." I was like, I don't know. I had a lot, like, I've had a really bad day. Like, a lot's happened today. I'm probably just all like worked up. And so then they admitted me, they put all the things on me, and they were like, you have heart failure and your valves aren't even producing enough blood to your body. Because I was like passing out. I kept like passing out, and I thought it was because he strangled me,
Uh huh.
but it wasn't. Like, because it had been happening for a while. I thought I was like overamping. I would like start passing out. I was like kind of like when you're drunk, you're just like bumping into everything. I was like that, and I thought it was because I was overamping, and I kept on. Well, I won't do that much next time, and then it would keep happening. It was because I had heart failure, and so in I went when I got out of the hospital. CPS had found out I was in the hospital because someone beat me up, and they told the judge that my boyfriend beat me up. But I'm like, it was like such a big mess because I was like, no, it wasn't my boyfriend, it was this other guy. And it was just like so many things that like tied into my situation where they were like, this girl, she's unfit. She has all these different guys beating her up. She has a baby daddy who's shooting people. She has a roommate who's beating her up. She has a boyfriend who's in jail. She's on drugs. We need to take her daughter away permanently. And that's what they did. Now I'm sober. I'm not doing all those stupid things anymore. But like I just looked so bad. I was in no position to try to fight to keep her. That's why I voluntarily gave my right. I didn't give my rights away, but I gave away custody
Right.
because I was
Right.
just so stupid. Like how could I at that point? How could I possibly tell them no? Like she's. I would be like delusional to think that she would be safe with me.
Well,
And so
now though you're sober now, and that's why you're gonna fight for her back.
yeah, now that I'm sober, I see all the like the mistakes that I had made and how stupid I and I can see where my parents are coming from where they're like so embarrassed of me. I just like I can't get it through to them that like I'm Like everybody wants to say, "Oh, I'm not like that anymore. I've changed," but they're just like, "Okay, well," they just don't believe me.
But
So I don't
I
know.
know that's going to take time though. They're seeing it through your actions now that you really are changing because you're staying sober, you know?
Yeah,
So
and it's
damn,
just
why? I think you told me that your ex husband or ex boyfriend shot your new boyfriend, but for some reason, why I didn't remember that. That is
yeah,
straight crazy. That dude is crazy. Like
yeah,
that
it's
don't make no
crazy.
sense.
And to think that I was with him for like 10, I never even saw it coming. I never thought that he would do something like that. But he was like super crazy about the fact that I was moving on. He's that kind of person that's like, you're not gonna be with me, you're not gonna be with anybody.
Right,
Like that's
right.
how he
Dude,
and
you
so
could have
yeah,
got shot. He could have shot you.
yeah, and I was so strung out that day that I didn't realize he was like pointing at me and it was so much chaos going on that I was like just give me my daughter back. What are you doing? Give her back to me. And he was like pointing the gun at me, at my boyfriend. My boyfriend was like, what are you doing? He shot him. He could have killed him.
Yeah.
And
Oh, for
he
sure.
the craziest part is that he's not even in jail right now.
What?
Yeah, he only went to jail for like 3 days and then he bonded out.
Oh my God. Is he not going to be like taken in for attempted murder?
He's awaiting trial. It's been reset. It keeps getting reset. But he's like to this day, every time we go to court, he's like, I shot him because they were on drugs. But you can't just shoot a drug addict because they're doing drugs. You can't just
No,
go,
you can't. No.
I'm shooting you because I don't like what you're doing.
How does he think
It,
that makes any sense? How does
I
he think
don't
that's
know.
going to get him out of trouble?
That's what I'm saying. He's telling the judge and everyone, I shot him because I didn't want my daughter going home with two drug addicts. And they were like, so you shoot them? Like it sounds so stupid. But
Right.
like he's the reason why I even got in the situation. I blame him for a lot of things, like because my daughter wouldn't have been taken away the way that she was if it wasn't for him doing that.
I
And maybe
understand.
she would have down the line. I don't know. You can never say for sure. But I was abusing drugs before that happened. But that was the reason why CPS took her away from me.
Damn,
Because
dude.
even though I was abusing drugs, I was a good mom. I always made sure she had what she needed. I didn't do it in front of her. She had a roof over her head. She had everything. I was abusing myself, but I
Yeah.
wasn't abusing her. And it's hard for people to understand that just because you abuse drugs doesn't mean you're a bad parent. You may be doing bad things to yourself, but you're not harming kids. At least I didn't see it that way.
Yeah. So, okay. When we're in our active addiction, like this is what I say. I wasn't a bad mom either, but I wasn't able to be fully present like I should have been while I was using drugs. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
and so, a lot of people, there's a lot of moms that drink wine and smoke weed, and nobody take, you know what I'm saying? And so, but I was the same way with Nathaniel. Like I had him with me all the time, and I tried to be as attentive to him as I could, being under the influence of methamphetamine, which makes you hyper. You. But I would focus on like one thing and be. It was just not good. It was not good at all. Um,
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
glad that that's over now. You know what I mean? Damn, girl, he shot the dude. That's crazy, dude. So tell me about the guy that's in jail. Okay, Lindsay, you can come up next, girl. The guy that's in jail, is he going to stay sober too?
yeah. That's it. I mean, he was sober before he got locked up. He had got maybe like, I think,
Uh,
he had like 5 under his belt before he got locked up. So when he
okay.
got to jail, he started doing the program there and everything. And
So,
so,
so he don't want to do drugs
yeah,
no more.
no, he was like really upset that I was out here while he's locked up doing them still. But what can he do to stop me? I was always telling him, well, what are you going to do to stop me? I just won't answer the phone anymore. I just won't put money on your books anymore. You can't tell me what to do. Look at you. You're in jail. I just would like tell him stuff like that. And so he kind of just, he would worry about me. But now that I'm sober, he's happy. And like I'm still kind of scared because he did methamphetamine for 15 years. I only did it for 3, and I mean I'm not better than anybody else, but to me I feel like he was doing it longer. There's more of a chance that he could get
Right.
back in and
Exactly. When does he get out of jail?
in 9 days.
Oh, mercy. I'm worried about that. Okay,
Yeah.
you're on my radar then. I'm gonna be watching your ass because that makes me have my radar goes off. You know what I'm saying? Because if he comes out and he tries to do anything stupid, girl, you better walk out away from him because you don't need that shit in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
God, 9 days. Lord have mercy. Okay, well, as long as he's like trying to stay sober and he's going to do the right thing, I think everything will be okay. I hope he does. Is that going to trigger you at all when he comes out?
I don't know, honestly, because it kind of triggers me a little bit because that's all we used to do together.
Yep.
And I've never really had a sober. He's never known me sober, never. I've known him sober, but he's never known me sober. So like, when I see him, I feel like I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, it's all we did before.
Did
Like he
y'all live together?
yeah, we lived together.
Oh, Lord. I don't know about that, girl. You might need to, I don't know. You need to be really
And
careful because
he
I,
was sober before I was.
you need to be, listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. One of the hardest things to do whenever I got sober with my husband was us get sober together and stay sober together. We both changed a lot. So I don't want you to be surprised if he comes out and you guys don't mesh well together anymore. Because that's what happens to most people that get sober that are in relationships. They drift apart because now that they're sober, they don't have anything in common anymore. You know, drugs was what they had in common.
Yeah.
So
He was sober 5 months before, like, so he was sober for 5 months before he got locked up. So I know how he is sober, but like he enabled me. Like I would tell him what I wanted. He would get me. He was going out and getting himself, so he would bring. And so like be strong because I know that hey, I want. Not,
so he
I don't.
enabled you. He let you get drugs even though he was sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. No, yeah, no offense taken. It's hard though. Me and my husband, like I said, we got sober together, and like I said, I stayed sober, and he relapsed, last year, and so I've been sober 6 years, and he's got 9 months now, and so it's hard because like whenever he relapsed, I remember he came home and I was like at my wit's end with him relapsing, and I was like, well, take me with you, you know what I mean, let's get high, let me get high with you. And of course he wouldn't, but there was like a moment where I thought like that. So this is the most challenging thing, especially in early sobriety. So you have to be locked and loaded, man. You need to make sure that you're like calling me on a daily basis and connecting with me. And you need to find a real deal, real sponsor to like work with for real. To work with one-on-one with, because that's going to be a challenge. That's going to be your challenge, him coming home. Then, working on getting your kid back, that's going to be your next challenge. That's going to be hard because it's going to bring up all kinds of emotions and confrontation with your family about, getting your daughter out of their care and back into your care. So it'll be okay though. You'll get through it. You're on the right path and you're connecting with other people. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm honestly not worried that I'm gonna do it because I can't. It's either I want to live or if I want to die. Like there's no chance. I mean, I would never say, "Oh, I'm okay with dying." Like I'm so like positive that I want to live a life and have my daughter one day that I'm not gonna touch drugs anymore because it'll kill me.
Yeah.
Literally will kill me. I already feel like shit. My heart feels like crap. Like if I were to do something to make my heart work too hard, it's gonna kill me. So like I feel like I the thought of wanting to do drugs in my mind constantly, but I will not act on it because I don't want to die.
Okay. Okay. Well, you need to keep that in the front of your mind at all times. And like I said, keep that in the front of your mind. Stay connected. You know what to do. It'll be okay. You gotta stay positive. And I'm sure you miss him. I mean, y'all are boyfriend and girlfriend. That's hard. I totally understand. I totally understand. Me and Neil were separated for 30 days when I got sober, and I cried because I missed him so much every day, you know. And we met, and we were in addiction together from beginning to end. So when we got sober, I remember crying because I was like, what if he doesn't love me anymore when I'm sober? What if he falls out of love with me? So it's going to be okay. You're going to get through it. Stay connected with us, okay, woman?
I will.
I appreciate you for coming up here and sharing, though, okay?
Thank you.
Holler at me later. I'm going to I think Lindsay wanted to come up, so I'm going to let her come up, okay? All right. Bye, babe. Okay, Lindsay, are you coming up to share? Did you want to come up and share, baby? I think it was Lindsay that said something. Yeah, Lindsay. Let me see where you're at. Oh, it won't. Lindsay, you know what? It won't let you because I think you have to have 1,000 people to be a guest. But you can share now and I'll read it out to everybody. So listen, you guys. It's not impossible to get sober with your significant other, but I'm going to tell y'all, it's double hard. You know, it brings along a lot of other challenges that you wouldn't have if you were just getting sober on your own. So when me and Neil got sober, I can remember fighting with him about him not going to meetings and me wanting him to go with me. What I had to learn was that I couldn't make him do the things I was doing. Just because I was going to meetings doesn't mean that he was going to go. And in the long run, it paid off for me going to meetings, you know, and I stayed sober, you know. That's Ashely, it'll be okay, girl. You just stay, you guys both, when he gets out, this is my suggestion. When he gets out, you both need to get into some kind of couples therapy and do recovery group meetings, you know, with each other together. And he can get a sponsor and you can get a sponsor and y'all can be like a recovery couple, you know, like me. Listen, y'all, I tell my husband all the time, I'm just like, damn it, if you would just come on a video with me, we could be recovery couple. We could help people, men and women. I'm always telling him, I wish you would just come on and do a live stream with me one time. And today, did y'all see my video I uploaded? Sorry, y'all, I'm doing laundry and I'm doing dishes. This is what I do at night before I get ready to go to bed. Let me get my slippers on. Did you guys see my video about the soma coma? Since you've been doing this so long, is it easy for you to see people who... I'll tell you this, Nikki. Just from looking at somebody, I don't know if they're going to succeed or not. The way that I see if somebody will succeed is the willingness that they have to put in doing the work. And every time I've ever worked with anybody that's trying to get sober, people who come in and they're like, okay, show me what to do. Take me under your wing. I'll do this. I'll do that. The people who I say, okay, I want you to call me every day. Well, just one time a day. You don't have to say, all you can say is, hi girl, I'm calling you, checking in, bye. Right? The people who, when I tell them to call me. The people who and it's just little things because they're willing to put in the effort, you know what I mean? And then there's people who say they want to get sober and they want to work one-on-one with me, or they want to go to treatment and I help them get into treatment, and they'll go to the treatment and then they'll come back and I'll never hear from them again. They'll never call me. They'll never text me. It's like they just fell off the face of the earth, even if I reach out to them. And then I see people who do everything. They reach out to me, they do meetings, they work with others, and they do phenomenal. And then, you know, some people have hard times, but I'll tell you this, people that succeed are people who get in and they work. They put in the work. So just like Just like I've been following you for a long time, Nikki. Just like you were doing your workouts and stuff that you were doing on the little walking machine, and you were staying consistent with that. Just like what you were doing with that, you got to get in with your recovery and stay consistent with your recovery. So if you get in and you want to stay sober, you get into a program, whether it's going to be like the Suboxone program or the Methadone program, you get into that. You follow all the rules. You do the most. I mean, if they tell you to go to meetings, you go to meetings. If they tell you to do the therapy, you do the therapy, right? And then, like I said, you get involved with people on the outside that will support you in your recovery, and you are going to be just fine. But the main thing that I think that helps people stay sober is a connection with a power greater than themselves, okay? It does not have to be God, you guys. If you don't believe in God, don't be afraid of what I'm saying. It's a spiritual connection, okay? So once you get a connection with a person who can support you and be there to sponsor and help you and mentor you, then you have to start building that connection with a power greater than you. Okay, so if you're a person who believes in God, let me tell you how my experience went, okay? So I was raised up in a Pentecostal church, okay? When I was a little girl, we couldn't wear makeup, we couldn't cut our hair, we couldn't wear earrings, we couldn't wear pants, we had to wear dresses. And so we were that religion till I was like in 4th grade or something. And then we went into a non-denominational church. Well, once I became old enough to choose my own way, I started moving away from religion and God and spirituality and was just doing my own thing, right? Totally doing my own thing. And so I lost the connection that I had with the power that was greater than me, which was God. Okay, I totally lost it, totally blocked it out. I was running and gunning. I was doing my own thing. I was, like I said, lying, cheating, stealing, just doing drugs, fucking all kinds of crazy stuff. When I got sober, you guys, first of all, what God did in my life many times was he was showing me that he was keeping me from dying. Let me explain to you. There was many times throughout my addiction that I should not be alive. One time in particular was the time I was in a coma for 7 days. I went into a coma after being up for about a week on meth and oxys and a bunch of different drugs. And when I went into that coma, my internal organs started shutting down. They called my mom and dad, told them, we don't think she's going to make it. You need to come down here and be with her, and say goodbye. So my mom and dad come to the hospital in Little Rock and they sat with me. And then on the 7th day, I woke up. And my mom looked at me and she said, "Do you know how long you've been here?" And I was like, "No." And she said, "You've been here for 7 days." And I remember laying in the bed and all I could think about was how I wanted to get high. Okay? That was one instance where I was brought back from the dead, basically. Okay? Then, when I got pregnant with my son in 2013, July 3rd morning, I went into labor at 5 a.m. I was high. I had been up for 3 days on meth. I had been up 3 days without any sleep, sitting in the Indian style position in my bedroom coloring. And I went into labor. My back started cramping. I was in pain. So I went next door to the room beside me and told my mother-in-law, "Hey, I think I'm going to have this baby." And so she called Neil at work and told him to come home. We went to the hospital that morning at 8 a.m. and I was only dilated to 1, so they let me come back home. Mind you, I'm high. I am so high on meth. For the next 10 hours, I was in labor at the house, walking around and just in pain, getting in and out of the hot tub, all kinds of stuff. And then at 8:30 p.m., I went back to the hospital and I gave birth to my son July 4th morning, high on methamphetamine. When I gave birth to my son, he was completely perfect. Nothing was wrong with him at all. He didn't have drugs in his system. He was healthy. He immediately latched on when I went to breastfeed him. He was 100% perfect and protected from me. Not only that miracle happened, but I was allowed to leave the hospital and take my son home 2 days later. Okay? God performed a miracle in my life and protected my son from me and allowed me to be able to take my son home, because God knew if they had taken my son from me that day, I would have never gotten sober. So I don't know how those miracles happened, but the only way I can explain it is that it was God. That's the only way. The miracle in the coma, and the miracle with my son being born and having no drugs in his system, and then me being able to walk out of the house with him 2 days later, out of the hospital with him 2 days later. So I come home and I'm like, I'm never doing drugs again. I swear the drugs completely off. I'm like, God, I promise. Like, I know that somebody up there is watching out for me. I knew it. I knew it. And so I said, I'm never getting high again. And I meant it. I meant it. I stayed sober for 90 days and then I relapsed. And I went back out, and I went back out hard. And then exactly 2 days before my son's first birthday, Child Protective Services came knocking on my door because my friend called on me and they took my son. Those things happening were things that opened my mind to thinking, maybe I need to connect back with the God that I knew when I was a little girl, the God that my mom taught me about, that loved me no matter what. Because, like I said, I'm not a really religious person, but when I was a little girl, I got saved and I went to church and I listened to the preacher, and I felt that love from the higher power. I felt connected to God when I was a little girl. I would sing in front of the church. I loved it so much. I was innocent and I didn't know, and I loved that. I loved doing that. So when those things happened, I was like, maybe there is something out there that is watching out for me, you know? Even though I was having issues believing. And so whenever I got out of treatment, my sponsor, she asked me if I believed in God, and I told her that I was having issues believing in God, and I told her about those miracles that had happened in my life. And she told me, if you just believe that I believe, can you do that? Can you believe that I believe, Nicole? And I said, yeah, I can do that. And so I just believed that she believed, and I started working through the 12 steps with her. And I remember we did my second or third step together. And your first step is we admitted we were powerless over drugs and alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. And then I think step 2 is came to believe that a power greater than me can restore me to sanity. And then number 3 is I can't remember number 3, but number 2 and 3 have to do with believing in a higher power, that a power greater than yourself can restore you, right? And so we were on my third step, and we were saying the third step prayer. And I remember when I was praying with her that I just had this feeling come over me, and I felt like it was God. Like, I felt like there was something talking to me, like in me, not talking out loud, but something that was talking to me and telling me, I forgive you, I'm going to help you, you know? And ever since then, I have connected with my power, with the power greater than me. And like I said, you guys, like, I'm not super religious. I'm not one of these people that's going to come on here and scream to you that Jesus saves or anything like that. I believe that God, what he did for me was he put the will to change inside of me. He helped me to want to change, and I did the work. I don't believe that he just pulled me out of the gutter and saved me. I believe that he gave me free will and that he helped with me by showing me through these miracles that were happening in my life, with my son, with me almost dying, to show me I'm here, I'm with you, and I've been with you, and I've never left you. You were the one who left me. And that's how I connected back with my higher power. It was like something that was happening while I was in my addiction. And then when I got sober, it was like so apparent to me that there was this being that was watching over me, that had been protecting me all my life. You guys, and like I said, I'm not religious. Y'all know how I am. But I'm telling you, man, that's how I connected. And now I talk to my higher power every day. I ask him every single day to help me and to guide me and to show me how to live, show me how to live sober. When I'm struggling and I don't know what to do, I'll just say a quick prayer like, hey, I just need guidance. You know what I mean? And I pray for my friends that are struggling, and I ask God to guide them and to speak through me to them. But I truly believe that that's what happens, is that the Lord speaks through other people. And so I just try to be honest and genuine and transparent, and I never want to push anybody away, because I know some people don't believe in God, but God can be your own conception. So if you're somebody who is Buddhist or whatever religion, you know, or belief it is, God can be the universe, God can be nature, God can be the wind, you know what I mean? It can be anything that's a power that's greater than you. It can be, God could be a group of women that you do your meetings with, because those women in a group are greater than you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the reason why I was angry, I was the same way, Nikki, was because I felt like God had abandoned me. I felt like he had left me and hung me out to dry, right? And your mom died of an overdose. I can totally understand why you would be angry, you know, with God. Here's the thing though, okay? I believe that God takes people, especially when it has to do with addiction. Hey girl, what's up, Rebecca? What's up? I believe that when he takes people that are struggling with addiction, that when he does that, he's doing that because their death is supposed to show us so we can change. You know what I mean? I had a sponsor like 10 years ago when I first tried to get sober. She had told me, some die so we can live. And I know that's harsh. But I truly believe that that is the truth. And I believe that your mom died so you can live. And what you need to do is I'm telling you, you need to be so fucking on top of it. You need to become just like ridiculously just gung-ho, obsessed, trying to kick this fucking addiction's ass. So that way your mom didn't die in vain. And also you can use your mom's story and your story to help other women that are struggling, that are in the same position that you are. Okay? So a lot of you guys, we get so deep in our addictions, and we get so depressed, and we get so angry, and we get so hurt, and we feel so lost, okay, that we blame everything outside of us, right? You're sick because you have a disease, all right? And when you take drugs and alcohol into your body, you fucking lose control, all right? So what you got to do is you got to find your way. So when you're lost like that, like I said, I'm not a religious person, you guys, but finding my way was connecting with another woman that I trusted, asking her to guide me in my recovery and help me with my steps. And then slowly but surely I connected with my higher power, you know, God again. And it saved my life. It saved my life. Like, Nikki, you are a beautiful woman. You're beautiful, you're smart, you're funny, people like you. You just don't see that in yourself because you don't love yourself. So while you're putting that dope in your body, it's because you're on the inside, you're hurting. On the inside, you have pain. And so we use those drugs and alcohol to escape that hurt and that pain and to change the way we feel. Anything, you guys, when I was using drugs, I had a great life. I had a mom and dad. They're still married, okay? I went to a cool school. I had good friends. I didn't love myself. Somehow, some way, somewhere down the road, I didn't feel good about me. I felt weird being me. I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I was the chubby Mexican girl, and all the other girls were blonde and brown haired and white, green eyes, blue eyes, and I was the only little Mexican girl in the school, and I felt so insecure, and I felt so horrible, and I didn't love myself. And then I found drugs, and they made me feel good. You know what I mean? They made me feel like I had power. They made me feel exciting, and they made me feel pretty and skinny and popular and like I could talk to anybody. And then the drugs stopped making me feel good, and they started ruining my life. You know what I mean? I would be lying to you if I told you guys, okay, that I didn't like getting high. I loved the way drugs made me feel. I love fucking shooting meth. Oh my God, I love the rush. I love shooting oxys. I love that warm feel. I loved the feeling. But you know what I didn't love? I didn't love what happened after that. The feeling was great, but the ruining my life, the loss of control, the hurting my family, losing my son to CPS, that's what I don't like. I don't want to deal with the consequences of addiction. You know what I mean? And that's what happens, you guys. Like, getting high feels good. You know what I mean? It's the bullshit that comes afterward. If I could get high with no consequences, I would probably do it, every now and then. But the thing about it is, I can't get high without consequences. Neither can you guys. And that's why we get sober. And that's why we help other people get sober. Because we know if we keep on doing this shit, we're going to lose everything. You know what I'm saying? We're going to lose everything. You guys have to love yourselves, okay? Y'all need therapy, okay? I'm not a therapist. I'm just like you guys, okay? I need therapy too. Do you know how long I've been in therapy, you guys? Therapy saved my life too, just so y'all know. Therapy was the best thing that ever happened to me. I did not realize that talking about the way I felt could make me feel better. I did not realize. I was always taught to keep everything inside. Shh, don't tell anybody. Shh, keep it a secret. Shh, you're supposed to be a badass. Like, my dad's a big Italian guy with muscles, and my mom's like a little J-Lo Mexican girl with a big booty, and they're just like the perfect couple, and everybody loves my mom and dad. And I was always taught, like, you don't talk about your problems. You know what I mean? You just handle them. We never talked about mental health. We never talked about... I remember my mom telling me that my Uncle Abel and my uncles and aunts were addicts on her side, that I needed to be careful, But I did not realize when I was a kid what that meant. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't understand the weight of what she was trying to tell me. Now when I look back on it and I remember my mom telling me, addiction runs in our family, I wish she could have sat me down and really explained to me the consequences and things that happened. And that's what I'm trying to do with my son now, is explain to him, Mama went to prison. You don't want to end up in prison like I did, and tell him about what happens because of my addiction, Yes, every pill you pop, playing with your life. And here's the thing, you guys, like, through work, listen to me, okay? Through work, you heal, and then it gets easier to stay sober, okay? The first 2.5 years of my sobriety, I was fighting myself to stay sober. You know what I mean? I was doing the work, I was going to therapy, I was working with my sponsor, but I was still kind of battling against myself. The longer that I have stayed sober and the more I help others, I'm telling you guys, it has gotten easier for me to stay sober. But I will also tell you guys, I don't have any friends that are getting high. Me and my husband, he works every day. I take care of my son. I work from home. I work with a treatment center. So that also helps me to stay sober, because I don't want to come on here and be like, I'm getting high. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. It's gotten easier for me because I don't surround myself with people who are using this whole time over my addictions. People, places, and things. Absolutely. My dad literally would say, don't take shit from anybody, but I guess he forgot exceptions. Oh, I've got a boyfriend that I fought this whole time over my addictions. He never used. I can't tell you it's easy. I can't say it's not enabling. He must love you if he's stuck with you, though, you know? I don't have an opinion on marijuana. I don't smoke because when I use marijuana, it's like I will not stop until I'm so stoned that I'm literally eating every fucking thing in our refrigerator. I have no off switch when it comes to substances that make me feel good, even weed. And so I actually, I had been sober for like 5.5 years, and I had just joined TikTok, and I came on here and I heard people talking about medical marijuana gummies, and so I tried them, and guess what happened? I ate a whole fucking pizza, and I was sick. So I don't do that. You know? I found it's my reaction to people, places. What happened with your sponsor, Suzanne? That's why I can't do that, y'all. I wish, because honestly, I have no self-control. You know, I know a lot of people get mental health help from smoking and doing medical marijuana. But this is what I say. I say, if you're somebody who's trying to get sober, try getting sober without using medical marijuana first, okay? Try getting sober and staying sober. And if you've been sober for over a year and you want to try and see if medical marijuana will help you with your depression, talk to somebody else about it that's in recovery, that's, helping you. Try it out, and if it works for you, great. But I would really suggest like getting yourself a strong foundation in recovery before you do that. You know what I mean? Spirituality and sobriety. I think it's really important to have a spiritual connection to a power greater than yourself to stay sober. Like I said, it does not have to be God. You just need to be connected, you guys, because inside of us we are broken and we are empty, and we have a void within us, a malady, a spiritual emptiness, a spiritual sickness, okay? And that's why we use drugs and alcohol, to cope with that sickness that we have. All of us have, every real addict and alcoholic has this like void, right? And that we try to fill it up with all these things, all these worldly things, all these things from the outside. New Louis Vuitton purses, new shoes, a beautiful home, a cute husband, all these things that we try to stuff into this void to make us feel good, right? And the only thing that we really need to feel good is to be connected spiritually. And I'm telling you guys, one of the things that I realized when I got sober is that all those times when I was in active addiction, I was so blind. I had no self-awareness. I had no self-awareness of the people that I was harming. I used to believe that me getting high was only hurting me. That's how selfish I was and blind to it. I had no self-awareness. After about 2 years of staying sober, one day, I will never forget it. I was at the gas station. I was getting my son a little snack, and I was going to talk to the cashier, and pay for the food. And I started to speak, and I started to stutter because I was hearing myself speak. And it was like, all of a sudden, I was standing outside of myself, watching myself speak and being aware of myself. And I felt so uncomfortable. I was like, it was so weird to me. I can't even explain it any other way than like, I was like self-aware. And when you become self-aware and you start realizing the hurt and the harm that you caused other people, you guys, I went through a whole stage of like, crying all the time because of the pain I caused my mom and dad, because of how hard they worked to take care of me and my sisters, and how much pain I put them through. It was like all of a sudden I just realized it. I realized that my addiction wasn't just affecting me anymore, and that it was affecting everyone around me. Like, I can't believe how blind I was. I can't believe that I believed I wasn't hurting anybody. You know, I can't believe that I thought that it was just me that I was affecting. Addiction blindside, it keeps you blinded to the reality, you know what I mean? And I really just believed that I was just not, I thought I was just hurting myself, you know? But I'm gonna tell you guys, all these things like gradually happened for me over like a 3 to 4 year span. I'm 6 years sober, and the first year of my sobriety, I was literally just chasing my tail, trying to fight for my son back and trying to do my steps, right? Then after I got my son back, I started like trying to get gainfully employed and get a car and work on like regular worldly things. And I'm still in therapy and everything. And then on my third year, it's just like all these things just started coming, you know, together. That's awesome. You are going to get through tomorrow. Okay, so this is another thing you got to do, okay? So one thing that I used to hate when people would say this, and I would be like, you're just saying that because you saw it on TV or you saw it on a YouTube meditation or something. Change the way you speak in your mind. Your inner dialogue with yourself has got to change. Stop saying, I might stay sober tomorrow, or I'm going to make it. I'm going to stay sober. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to do my affirmations, and I'm going to say my prayers. And I'm telling you guys, I'm going to love myself. I do love myself. I am beautiful. I am overcoming my addiction. I am a badass bitch. Nobody can fuck with me. You know what I mean? Like, you have to literally talk it in your mind. You have to say it to yourself over and over and over again. I know it sounds psychotic, and I probably look like a fucking like a lunatic right now, but I'm telling you guys 100% right now, I was so down on myself. I was so negative all the time. I don't even know how I lived like that, but I was like that all the time. I could not see any positivity in my life. And then one day, I don't know if it was on YouTube or if I was at a speaker. I don't know. I was listening to somebody tell their story, and they were talking about the way they spoke to themselves and their inner dialogue with themselves. And I was like, all these years, I have been talking like shit to myself, hating myself, right? Not loving myself. That's why, even though I'm not happy with my weight, like we were talking about earlier, I still love myself. I still know I'm a beautiful person. I'm just not happy with my weight, and I want to improve it. But I'm still a badass bitch. I can still take your man and your man too, okay? I can still come up here and tell a story better than anybody on this motherfucking platform. You know, like, I know that I am badass, and I'm a good person, and I'm smart, and I'm beautiful, and I'm a catch, and anybody would be lucky to have me in their life. You know what I mean? I've learned that, right? I didn't used to feel like that, and that's not me being cocky, you guys. That's me like finally realizing that I am worthy, because there was a time where I felt like I wasn't worthy of shit. But I didn't even think I was worthy to have a man that fucking opened the car door for me. Do you know how many people I dated that treated me like dog shit on the bottom of their shoe? Do you know how many men I dated that I paid for their fucking dinners? Do you know how many people I dated that I paid for their fucking car bill, their car payment, and their rent? You know, for years. And then I remember the first day I met my husband, and he opened the car door for me, and I almost fell out and had a heart attack. Because the man was actually treating me like a woman, like he was supposed to, you know? It was unbelievable. I had never, ever had somebody treat me like a woman, like I wasn't a dope whore. I had never had anybody treat me like I wasn't just a hit and a fuck. I had always been treated like that because that, you know why? Because I didn't respect myself, and that's because I presented myself like that too. And so why would anybody respect me? Why would they respect me if that's how I was respecting myself? Because I didn't love myself. But I remember when my husband, we went out to eat and it was time to pay, and I pulled my purse out to pay, and he was like, why are you doing that? And I was like, I'll pay half. He was like, no, you don't have to pay half. And I just remember just little things like that. I remember coming home and telling my dad, you know, like, Neil paid for my meal, and my dad was like, that's what he's supposed to do. You know, these are just little things, you guys. Like, I hated myself so much. I felt like I was not worth anything. I honestly don't know why. I always felt like I wasn't worthy. I always felt like I didn't deserve to be a part of anything. Ever since I was a little girl, I can remember fighting, you know what I mean? I can remember fighting with myself and not feeling like I fit in. I can't even explain it any other way. I just felt horrible about myself, and I'm sorry I'm getting so emotional, but I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that I'm not in my addiction anymore, and that I can see that I'm not worthless, you know? And I want you guys to see that y'all are not worthless too. I want y'all to see that you guys are not worthless, and that you're worthy of recovery, and you're worthy of being happy, and you're worthy of being successful. For the longest time, you guys, after I got sober, I felt like I wouldn't be successful. I felt like I would always be like on the back end, right? And just recently, this last year, working for Dr. B and doing this TikTok account, I started to realize, like, I want to be successful, and I'm going to be successful. I'm going to make this happen, you know? And then I also started to realize that when you start moving up and you start having success, you're going to see who your real friends are, because people don't want you to do better than them. If you start moving up and you kind of go past, they feel like it's a competition. The only person I'm competing with is me, the old Nicole. I want to do better than I did yesterday. You know what I mean? And I want to lift other women up. I want to help other women to do better. I want to help other women to feel like, you know, good about themselves. And like I said, you guys, like, I struggle. Like I said, I'm very down on myself about my weight. Very, very down on myself. That's my biggest insecurity. But I'm telling you, even though I struggle with that, I still know that I'm my worth, you know, and I've learned it through staying sober and through recovery. And I reflect on the things that I did when I was in active addiction, and the places that I put myself and the people that I put myself around. And I really, honestly, I ask myself, like, how could you do that? Like, that's just not me anymore, you know? And it was because I was sick and I was lost. So anyways, I'm sorry I've been ranting for a minute, y'all. I am just very passionate about helping, and I want you guys to know that, like, your recovery is possible, you know? You can get sober and you can change your life, and you don't ever have to feel like you feel today, you know? I remember feeling like I would never get my life together. I remember feeling like I would die, you know, in my addiction. I remember, like, waking up and being dope sick and, like, having to go get pills, and just the fucking chaos of just active addiction, constantly calling the dealer and saying, can you meet me here, or come here, I'll meet you there, or can you bring me this? It was just constant chaos and drama. And I have so much peace in my life now because of sobriety. And I want you guys to have that too, you know, and I want you to know that you are worthy, you are beautiful, you are amazing, you know what I mean? You deserve sobriety, you deserve happiness, you deserve respect, and you deserve love, you know. And so that's all I got tonight, I guess. Sorry, y'all. I haven't done a live stream where I talked, it's, really talked to you guys in a while. It's been me going live with guest speakers. And so I had gotten really just uninspired and to talk, the last month or so. And so I'm glad that I came on here and we got to do our big book study, and I got to share with you guys a little bit about, my life. And I want y'all to know, like, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, I'm not a perfect person, but I do my best to be kind and love others. I do my best to support other people and to help other people with their recovery. Like, that's so important to me, you guys. And, if you need help and you are just like struggling, you can always reach out to me. I really mean it, you guys. Like, you can DM me. I will DM you back and send you my cell phone number, and I will do my best to support you. I will tell you this. If you DM me and I send you my number, I'm going to send you like resources, and I'm going to send you places that you can get plugged into, like get plugged in, and I promise you will have support. A lot of you guys, like out there in California, y'all, there's an amazing recovery community out there. My foot itches really bad. Sorry. There's an amazing recovery community out there in California. There's a really good recovery community here in Little Rock, Arkansas. Like in real life recovery community. And so I wonder if we know any girls here that are, I know Kimmy. Oh my gosh, she is amazing. So do you guys know who Kimmy is? Kimmy, Kimmie, Raptor Shark, I think is her screen name. Miss Kimmy, she's like in NA, but she supports MAT because she works at the prison, and she actually like works with MAT patients. This lady is the shit, and she's in California. She is so amazing. She goes to meetings like every day, y'all. And she was just at a meeting out there in Georgia. Yes, Georgia. Yes, her. She is amazing. She's somebody who like I want to hang out with and go do recovery stuff. Also, I'm giving you guys 6 months ahead of time advance. 6 months from now in March, we're going to a convention with Kimmy. I have to get a babysitter. I will find out the name of the convention. I want all of you women to sign up, and we'll all go to this convention together. It's going to be a recovery convention, and I don't know where it's at or whatever, but Kimmy and them told me about it because I called because I wanted to go. I was like, damn, y'all are all in Georgia having a good time. You know what I mean? I want to go too. And so these conventions, recovery conventions, it's like, okay, have you guys ever been to like Girl Scout camp? It's like going to a camp with a bunch of girls, and it's like staying up all night long, telling stories, doing each other's nails, playing with each other's hair, getting up early in the morning and going to eat breakfast together, and then going to meetings and watch speaker meetings, and then going and getting tattoos together, and then coming back to the convention and watching more speaker meetings. And it's so much fun. The last convention I went to was a Cocaine Anonymous convention in Memphis, Tennessee. And when I tell y'all, it was like a motherfucking party. Everybody there was sober and dancing and having fun. You know what I mean? Like, it was fun, and they're in recovery. And that was the first time when I went to that Cocaine Anonymous party. It was the first time I've ever been around people that were sober, but they were sober and having so much fun. I was like, damn, are these motherfuckers drunk? Because they were dancing and like we were at the club. You know what I mean? Like fun, real fun. So I'll find out the name of the convention, and I will tell you guys about it on our next live stream. I got to get the information. And then one other thing before I go. I want to do, like, if y'all want to travel to, like, I don't know what state we would do it in. I'm in Arkansas, and I think Arkansas is boring. But like, if I ever come to California, which I will be soon to work with Dr. B, then I want to get together like with a bunch of you guys and do like a real talk recovery support meeting where we hang out, and you guys can come up to my hotel and stay the night with me, and we can do sobriety fun stuff together. When I go to Nashville, it's going to be November 4th. and I'll be with my boss in a hotel. So wherever I'm at, if you're in Nashville, y'all can come up there and come to my hotel room and stay the night with me, and we could do recovery and just have a slumber party, like a recovery slumber party. Of course, I have to work, you know, the next day and everything, so you would just be coming over to stay the night with me, but it would still be fun. You know what I mean? We can order pizza. We can fucking do a meeting online where we get on my TikTok and you guys can be in the meeting with me and share your stories. It'll be like a fun recovery slumber party. So I need friends. Listen to me. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I don't have friends. I've been sober for 6 years and I don't really have any friends. Mainly because like I'm always like with my son or something. I have a couple of girlfriends that are my son's friends' moms, but for the most part, I don't really hang out with anybody except for my husband. So like I would love to have like a big old recovery slumber party with you guys and have everybody come over and we get a hotel and have a good time. You know what I mean? So it's fun. So I hope, is really your son 7? My son has got a mouth on him, girl. Drive me insane. I love my son though. He saved my life. If I hadn't gotten sober, if I hadn't had my son, I would never have gotten sober. My son saved my life. He saved me. I think about it every single day. I hate that I had to have it happen like that. I hate that I risked my son's life basically using drugs while I was pregnant. But I thank God every single day that he saved my son from me because I need him. He saved me. He saved my life. You know what, Nikki? I bet you have a lot of, I'm telling you, girl, you can overcome your addiction. I really want to help you as much as I can. I'm telling you, because I know once you overcome this and you start feeling good about yourself again and you start changing everything, then things are I'm telling you, you were doing so well. I was following you and you were staying sober. I know you can do this. I know you can do this. You 100% are capable of staying sober, you know. And here's the thing, you guys. I believe that if you're on MAT, that you are sober. And I believe that you can stay on MAT for the rest of your life. Like, I truly believe, and this is what I truly, truly believe. I truly believe that some people had opiate addictions. I believe that some people, their brain will never heal and that they need to be on something like Suboxone or methadone forever, because their brain just operates, you know, needs that chemical, you know. And you cannot let anyone else's opinion of that affect you. Because a long time when I got I'm on Suboxone. I'm on 1 milligram Suboxone. Better believe it. Ain't nobody telling me shit. Okay? It saved my life. I wouldn't be alive or sober if I hadn't tried it. I had went against it for 10 years. I was trying to get sober since 2005. Okay? For 10 years I tried to get sober, in and out of treatment, in and out of AA, in and out of sober livings. And it wasn't until I tried MAT that I actually was able to maintain sobriety, you guys. And so I'm 100% support it, 100%. And when I first started sharing my story back in 2016, I got so much pushback from the recovery community back then. People made fun of me, told me I wasn't in recovery, told me I didn't deserve to say I was sober, said I shouldn't be sharing my story, said I would never work in recovery, said I never would be able, all kinds of bullshit. Well, honey, guess what? I'm working in recovery. I'm still sober. You know, like, I'm successful, and people tried to dull my shine because I was honest about MAT. And back then in 2015, 2016, I was probably one of the first women that was like speaking out outwardly about being on MAT, you know. And so it was hard to have people making fun of me and telling me I wasn't in recovery. That hurt, because I looked up to those people in recovery that had been sober longer than me, you know. And I remember I was so excited to share my story online, and then when people I looked up to, you know, gave me a hard time and told me, you know, you're not in recovery. I was hurt, y'all. It was hurtful. So that's why I advocate for MAT, and I try to have a place where people that are on MAT, they feel accepted, they're a part of. You're no different than a regular person in recovery. And I truly believe here on TikTok, you guys, we have gotten to a point here on TikTok, it's amazing, where MAT is totally supported. You know what I mean? But when I first started out, it was Facebook, and it was not like this at all. So anyways, I'm going to go lay down, y'all, because I'm just over here talking like a crazy person. I just really, really enjoyed our live stream tonight. I'm going to go wash my face. Tomorrow night, Cassie is going to come on and tell her story. She has she did 8 years in the pen, and she was a diamond heister. So I'm really excited. Her fucking story is going to be wild. So she's going to come on tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I love you guys. I'm proud of all you guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I'd really appreciate it if you would reach out to me. If not, I'm blocking you. Georgia boy for life. Do you think that's gonna make me want to reach out to you? Like, what? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? All you have to do is DM me, honey. Send me a message, okay? I check my messages every day. All right, you guys. I love y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow, okay? Good night.